Incredible Hulk will not be presented this evening.
Everyone, it's Santana, and you are watching the DL Show on Dave's Guitar Channel.
All right, everybody. Welcome. Elba, how's the heads? Okay, we're good. We had some technical difficulties earlier. We have cleared them up. Folks, today we had football. We had an exciting first game, the AFC game, and then the NFC game. And looks like we got the Rams and the Bengals going into the Super Bowl. Now, enough about that. Today, we have Ken Haas back again, this time more exciting than last time. A better internet connection. Everyone say hello to Ken Haas.
Hey. Hello, everybody.
And there he is.
How's it going, Ken?
It's going good, man. How are you?
Very good, very good. Glad to see you again.
I'm glad to be back. Sorry about the technical difficulties a few weeks ago.
It's only your fault. It's no excuse. No excuse.
Yeah, totally. We had some weird weather, and my whole neighborhood was out for about 10 hours. And I don't have to tell you, my kids were out of their minds.
I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Krelby, you look like you're enjoying a hot cup of decaf coffee.
Mm-hmm.
How is it?
Roasters that you provided for me. Thank you very much.
How is that coffee?
Very rich tasting for a decaf. I love it.
Okay, so Joe, let me see. I want to say exactly why he messaged me earlier, Ed B, and he physically had pushed himself a little bit too much. He was moving furniture around today and felt like I think he just wanted to get vertical. Or get horizontal.
Horizontal.
I think he got stuck.
Exactly. Joe got stuck with his hand in the sofa. So yeah, I've talked to him today several times at B-Mel, and he also ordered some coffee. What do you think of that coffee? We kind of brushed off on it because is it good?
It's delicious. It's got a very great taste for a decaf. Yeah. I like it. I'm probably going to switch to it.
All right.
Again, thank you very much.
All right, and it looks like he's got a bourbon going on there. What is that? A little
Well, it ain't coffee, Dave.
I can see that.
Yeah. Yes, I you know, it's weird. I've been I drink Johnny Walker Black for some reason, and I think it's just because I'm used to it, and so I get gifted it often, and so I have a few bottles of it in my office, and I never have an excuse to drink at work ever.
Right.
So here I am at 10 o'clock on Sunday night, and I was setting up for this thing, and I thought, you know, maybe I'll have a cocktail. Yeah. And then they'll get me to open up about my deepest, darkest secrets.
Sometimes you gotta say, "What the fuck?" Make you move.
So I love the wall there. That's a handsome wall with the Reverend emblem in the middle. Just want to say, Angel Martinez, welcome. He says he loves the Sensei Junior guitar. It's a great with P90s. Now, I'm looking at the guitar in your hand, and I'm saying, is that a new guitar?
Yeah, we just launched this week. We launched this model last fall. This is the Reeves Gabrel's Dirt Bike Royale. And then just this week, new for 2022, we got it out in feline gray. Reeves has been the lead guitar player for The Cure for going on, I think he is celebrating 10 years in the band this year.
Wow.
And so to sort of mark that, this is the All Cats Are Gray in the Dark guitar, or the Love Cats, as you pointed out.
Sure.
But a couple of nods to the Cure catalog with the feline gray here. And I love this sort of gloss primer gray color. Killer.
Ken, did you say the catalog?
The catalog, yes, indeed.
Meow.
Everything's cats.
We have been making a Reeves Gabrel's dirt bike for a number of years, this is our Sensei body. And the first dirt bike has a Wilkinson trem and his signature railhammer pickup in the bridge and no neck pickup. This version has this really cool Wilkinson wraparound.
Mm-hmm.
Where with intonation on the G and the B, where often you have trouble with these things. And these are Mojitone P90s. Excellent. So it's a little, we use the Reverend pickups in all of our stuff or rail hammers, but every once in a while an artist will want to do something special. So the bridge is a Mojitone Hot Quiet P90, and then the neck is just their Quiet Coil 90, and it just rips, dude. I don't have to tell you that it rips. You can hear it for yourself.
Nice. So David DeMar is asking, is Reverend going to be at the Summer NAMM show in LA this year?
Yeah, there's one NAMM show this year. So they're not designating a winner or a Summer NAMM. We are just having NAMM in June in Anaheim, which is I've been a regular. I know you go back further with the NAMM organization than I do, but I haven't missed a show since '99. And to be going to Anaheim in June feels really odd to me. As a matter of fact, I should have been there last week. I should be home right now with the NAMM Thrax recovering.
Sure.
But instead,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yes, we will be there in June. Unfortunately, I will probably only be there on Friday. That is the weekend that my youngest son, who we were talking about earlier, is the weekend he's graduating from high school. Wow. So, and I get the feeling that they're going to run into a lot of that with a lot of people. I mean, that's a weird. It's kind of a shitty time to have the show, in my opinion. But whatever.
Yeah, well, not only that, aren't you going to have the big Disneyland crowd?
Yeah. Well, what does that mean now? Though I guess we're all going to find out, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to be out for a few days beforehand. I have some meetings and some things I want to get done out there. So, and I'll get out there and help my crew set things up. But we'll have our booth. We're in the location we're always in at the top of the escalator and at the Beat Hall, and Railhammer will also be there. I know that my sales manager Zach will be there all weekend long, and Naylor will also be there all weekend long, and I'll be there on Friday.
And so you're at the top of the escalator. What hall is that?
The D Hall. So
D Hall.
Yeah. Where that's
towards the drums.
How long has it been since you've been, Dave?
Quite a while.
Yes. And, they really
9 years, 8 years.
They about 4 or 5 years ago, they completely reorganized the show. They opened up a whole new wing of the convention center closer to Catella Avenue, where they put all of the electronics and software companies. Okay. And then on the floor, they really did like lights in the A hall, horns and orchestra stuff in the B hall, and percussion in C. And then all the guitars and pedal companies are in D. And then the basement is still the basement.
Right, Hall E.
Yeah. But we're right at the top of the escalator in the back of the hall. So when you come, whether you're coming down the main aisle or coming up the stairs, we have this really cool slot right in the corner that we've
rumor has it that Hall E might be responsible for most of the NAMM Thrax.
If you ask me, Hall E is responsible for COVID in 2020, my friend. I mean, probably I know so many people that got, because everybody always comes home from NAMM with something. Always. But I know so many people 2 years ago that got sicker than they usually did. And then all this stuff started to snowball. And all of the Chinese manufacturing in this industry is all in Wuhan. I mean, it's called a Wuhan symbol because that's where they make the things.
Right.
So it would be very surprising to me if some of us didn't, come home from the NAMM show with that stuff right out of the gate before anybody even realized really what was going on.
It was circulating around here in 2019.
Yeah, it is what it is. We don't want to talk about COVID. We've talked about COVID enough.
Sure.
Yeah,
but I was just curious because when you said by the escalator, I was trying to imagine because I know where the stairs are to the left when you go down Hawley.
Yeah.
Breedlove you.
Oh, that's when you're coming in the front door. I'm talking about all the way in the back of the room.
Right.
The escalators to get in and out of there once you're inside.
Right.
Johnny Kramer wants to know so that just in case I say something stupid.
What's that?
They put me in the back corner just in case I say something stupid.
They're coming over there with their sound, trying to measure the sound, going, okay, let's see where his.
Yeah, as soon as you open your mouth, start to too loud.
Yeah, right. No, I actually discourage booth performance. We usually have one small event with Pete Anderson every year because he has a lot of friends at the show, and they all want to sort of congregate at my booth, and we let them tear up and do a little jam, maybe Saturday late in the afternoon. And because we've been quiet up to that point, the sound police are usually pretty good with me.
But don't you get the people coming up to your booth, like trying out your guitars, plugging them in, wanting to,
We do. Headphones are great for that.
Yeah.
I always find that if people are like we're there to do a certain thing, you know what I mean? And,
I do.
And a bunch of people jamming in your booth the whole time takes away from that thing that you're trying to do. I mean,
which is called business.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Or whatever. So the way our booth is set up so that all the meeting tables are on one side and there's amps that people can plug into on the other side or whatever. But I mean, the NAMM show isn't where you're going to really find out whether you really like something or not anyway. I mean, you can find out whether or not you like look at it and feel it and be like, oh, this is comfortable. God, this plays great. Oh, you set these up great, whatever. But to really get into hearing something in that room, you can't hear shit in that room. I can't hear shit in that room for a week after I come home.
I always felt like if you weren't there to do business, you're really just there to socialize. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it because you got it's a great thing for everybody that knows everybody in the business because it is a small business, even though it's a big one.
For sure. It's incredibly small. I read this statistic once, David. And I don't know how true this is, and if it still holds true or not. But I had read a few years ago that the automobile industry in just the state of Michigan alone, just one state, will do the same amount of business in a month that the entire MI industry will do globally in a year. That's everything. That's Yamaha and everything included, one state's automobile business for a month. And if you think about the numbers, I mean, that's obviously cars are big ticket items or whatever, but I mean, that is everything. That is parts and that's the whole 9 yards. And for as big as this industry seems, from people who are outside of it, I mean, once you get into it, everybody pretty much knows everybody, and when you walk around, after 25 years in the NAMM show, it's interesting how small it really is.
Right. Like, I mean, this is nothing about Reverend guitars, but if I'm walking around NAMM and I see Reverend guitars, I'm walking over to say hello to you, see what you're doing for lunch. If you already have some, you know what I mean? That's the type of thing that happens. And you could say, hey, let me show you this guitar. And I'd be like, oh, that's cool. I'll check it out in a couple of weeks after the show when it's around. But it's more like you get to see all these people under one roof that you wouldn't normally get to break bread with.
Yeah. And I like to see the people that we do business with. I like to see the ad reps for the magazines that we're advertising with still. And we do some advertising on some podcasts and things like that around the world, and we do a lot of business in the UK, and it's really nice to be able to talk to everybody face to face once a year. Right. And whether it's just stopping by the booth and having Pete and Lee from Anderton's come by the booth and run a video for their Anderton's TV, you know, and promote the stuff that we're sending over to them. I mean, that stuff is great.
Sure.
You know, it used to be where it was more like right before all of this this global shutdown stuff started, I was regularly getting over to the UK, and so I could do those things in person, you know.
Right.
Before you, if you're not traveling, it's really cool to have an event once a year where everybody comes to you.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
And you can just knock all of that stuff out. And we talked a little bit when I was here a couple of weeks ago before stuff got turned down. We have all these instruments made in South Korea at Mir Music, and they build for us and a couple other brands, and they have their own house brand. And Mir has been around for generations, and they have been building Reverends for close to 20 years now, 19 years. They've been doing our necks and pickups for 22 years.
Wow.
And they've been doing the whole build since 2005. I have never been to Korea. I see them every year at the NAMM show. Yeah, and they know what they're doing. I mean, it's not like I have to. This is an established business who does quality work. So we don't have, you know, you hear all these horror stories about companies sending people to Asia to do QC and stuff. And we've never been in that situation with Mir. And so it's really nice to see those guys in Anaheim. Yeah. We go out to dinner. They take me to this Korean village with this Korean barbecue that's in Orange somewhere. Oh, it's unbelievable. Nice. And so it's great to that whole socialization aspect of it. And I think if the NAMM show, I really don't want the NAMM show to go away, because I would really miss the whole seeing everybody in person.
Right.
I think it's important. I think it makes
I was just saying it for people in the industry, that's really what it's about. And it does kind of get in the way when the people who go there to see the gear, because that's really not, you know, really, I mean, because they have to jump through hoops to get into the show anyway, because they have to know a vendor, or they have to, you know what I mean? It's like, so, you know, it gets a little tough when you get a lot of people walking around that are like just excited to see the gear, even though that's a nice thing and maybe causes a buzz.
Well, you know, I mean, I was that guy the first time I went to a NAMM show.
Sure, as was I.
I absolutely lost my shit the first time I was there, and the NAMM show is the reason that I'm here talking to you. I don't know how much we got into that. I don't remember if we got into that the last time, but I went to a NAMM show and it blew my mind, and I looked across the floor at the NAMM show at I was staring down the barrel of 30 years old, and I had a career, and I was married to my first wife, and I looked at the NAMM show and thought, well, wait, I'm doing the wrong thing with my life. Like, I knew it was like a firecracker went off inside my head. You know, do you remember the old Nashville Convention Center?
No.
Okay, so in the old convention center, there was a place where if you came in off of one of the back streets, the escalators went down to the main floor, and you could walk over and look over the whole NAMM show floor from an area, you know. And I remember standing there and seeing, you know, G&L and Ibanez and Naylor had the Reverend booth was right below where I was standing. And Gibson had a trailer at the time that they used to drag to these things. I think they still do probably, and some other stuff. And I stood there and I thought, oh, shit, I want to be here. Like, I want to be a part of this, you know?
Right.
And then everything from that day forward for me became being a part of that, you know, and I changed the whole direction of my life from being inspired like that. And I think if the NAMM show, you know, can inspire somebody in that way, you know, that maybe that's not such a bad thing. But I do see what you're saying too, because there's times when I'll be there and I will be talking to somebody who, you know, wants to give me a month's worth of my revenue for the year. You know what I mean? I mean, there's some buyers there that go there that really help drive our business. And one of the things that really does get me about that is I hate it when I'm talking to one of those guys and then I get interrupted by somebody, because people will come and stand right in between you and start talking to you and asking you about pickups or something. And I have people there to answer those questions, and I am not going to be a dick to anybody. I mean, I'm always going to be like, oh yeah, blah 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 blah. But sometimes I'm thinking like, wow, I'm really doing this, like
Does
this
the green
thing to help
guitar have
my
focus
business,
mids?
But as long as people, and most people are aware, but some people are just blissfully unaware, I think, Dave.
Yeah. David DeMar asks, was 2021 a big year for Reverend? He heard that other manufacturers were having record years.
Yeah, 2021 was a record year for us, for sure.
Very good.
And it could have been, there's been supply chain issues with parts delays and delays with cases and shipping times taking forever. And it could have been more. It really, it's crazy. We had a number of things. It was coming together before all of this COVID stuff happened for us.
Excuse me.
We were growing very.
Keep going. I'm just going to let you know, I'm going to make you full screen because while you're talking, people might want to see what's going on behind there with those guitars. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. Right in 2018 and 2019, we established, we started to really establish some growth, and we were increasing our production and just trying to keep up. And it was a pull situation, which is great. Like, our dealers were getting flooded with orders and having a hard time keeping inventory in, so they were ordering more stuff from us. So it felt really organic. It didn't feel like we were just pushing a lot of guitars out to dealers. And then, just as things were really starting to move, and then all the lockdowns and the pandemic thing started, and then it was kind of nerve-wracking for a couple of months. And then, as I'm sure you've heard, and everybody has heard from other manufacturers, then starting in the summer of 2020, it just took off like a rocket ship. Things just went absolutely nuts. And since then, we've been maintaining a very, very steady growth. And so last year was our biggest year ever, and this year looks to be on par to beat that for sure.
Excellent. All right, let me just get to a few more questions here.
Of course.
Jans asks, top 3 Reverend players. Do you have three people that play? We're obviously I would go with your signatures, your Reeves Gorell.
Yeah. Boy, that's such a hard one. But Reeves, obviously, we get a lot of exposure for the whole brand from Reeves and The Cure, and he is such a monster player and such a cool guy and just a legend in the industry. And his work with Bowie and his solo work in The Cure thing has been great for us. Pete Anderson has been great for us. He was one of our early signature artists, and Rick Vito was one of our early signature artists. Ron Ashton from the Stooges really helped launch this company. He worked a lot with Naylor at the beginning. And then as far as like current artists go, we work with a lot of young bands. Hot Mulligan and Meet Me at the Altar are a couple of them that are going to be touring together this spring. And Fu Manchu, the whole metal side of things with Moss Generator and all of those guys. I mean, it's hard for me to nail down one thing because we have a lot of things going on at any one time. I don't want to leave anybody out. And of course I can't forget Greg Koch. We talked about Greg Koch the last time I was on.
Absolutely.
Just a monster player, and he and I had developed a great relationship, which was sort of built out of us doing demos together of Wildwood guitars, and has resulted in a couple of very popular signature models for us. So
I mean, he's a great player, great personality when it comes to playing the guitar, just hilarious. And
a riot.
Angel Martinez asks, are there any stores in New York City that sell a lot of Reverends, or that sell Reverends, Angel? I think he means that sell.
Rudy's in Soho and Scarsdale. If they don't have it, they can get it for you. I have a pretty direct line of communication with the people at Rudy's at all times.
And Rudy's is in Soho?
Yeah, he's in Soho, and he also has a store in Scarsdale. And then I also have a great dealer, Monster Music, out in Levittown, out in Long Island. Those are the big sort of New York area guys that have a lot of inventory.
I believe Levittown is Billy Joel's hometown, isn't it?
It is, yes.
All right. And then Rudy's in Soho, I believe, is pretty close to Katz's Deli for those keeping score, which is a fantastic delicatessen.
I tell you, they build those Pensa guitars at Rudy's in Soho. They make some beautiful instruments for Mark Knopfler, and I'm fortunate.
Yeah, he was partners with John Suhr for years, wasn't he?
Pensa Suhr.
Yeah, John made those guitars initially in the late 80s and early 90s at Rudy's and the Princess guitars. Yeah. Beautiful instruments.
Rudy's on a train to nowhere. It's a little Supertramp song for you. So you can see behind you without having to turn around, Ken, but let me ask you this. From left to right, what are we looking at here?
What's left?
I see this. Left is the other way.
This is an Airwave. I have an Airwave 12 string.
Okay, that's a 12. Oh, yeah, look
that's
at that.
12. Yep. And then next to that is our roundhouse guitar in Italian purple. And then this is a black sparkle bayonet, which is a single rail hammer chisel pickup in the bridge.
Let me just say, before we go back to that guitar, the which looks a lot like what you described Reeves Gabrel's guitar, like almost. It almost looks like a Cure style guitar. But that one in the middle is a carved top.
It sure is. You can tell.
Very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and then we have like what looks like, what is that other guitar called? The single pickup one there?
That's called a bayonet.
The bayonet. Mm-hmm. God, that would look interesting in my collection. No, I'm just joking. But it's a cool looking guitar. Like I said, it almost looks like if there was a baritone version, like something you would play Fascination Street on. Just a little.
We do make a baritone in that body style called the Descent.
Oh.
We sell a lot of baritones and a lot of 12 strings. A lot.
People say, how is it? You go, yeah, it's Descent.
Yeah.
Decent. Terrible joke. I'm sorry. Oh. All right. So then going on the other side of the above the car amplifier.
That is our Tommy Coffin signature model. Tommy Coffin is the guitar player for Detroit's own Coffin Cats. These boys, they do sort of a punk rock and roll rockabilly thing, upright bass guitar, drums. And they're on the road 40 weeks out of the year. They're just a fantastic band, been around for years. They played a number of our NAMM events and just about any time we can get together because they're a blast. Tommy's guitar is in gold sparkle with the reverse headstock and a pair of rail hammer chisel pickups. Next to that, the black guitar is our 6-gun HPP, which we launched in 2021 as a humbucker at the bridge, and then two of our H90 pickups or our HA90 pickups. So P90 soap bars in the middle and the neck. So you're basically looking at an HSS guitar that the pickups actually balance. Okay.
And then the last guitar is
a Jetstream RB in our avocado finish.
Okay. Avocado. And then and not to ignore, there's two other guitars, looks like on stands behind you.
Oh, I have some stuff that I thought you would think was fun.
Oh, yeah, that one looks fun.
This is the Greg Koch model, the Greg Koch GK90, we call this.
Oh, yeah.
And so now,
Bigsby, I mean, let's just say it. I'll say it right now. I love Koch. Thank you.
Yeah, we know you do. These are, speaking of Boston, these are Fishman Fluence P90s. And they're Greg's signature Fishman pickups.
Can we see the power source for that? Is there an insert where you plug in the USB cable?
Yeah, right there in the jack.
On the jack. Excellent. Really cool. Okay.
Yeah. And it's really, I mean, it's 24 3/4 scale. We totally dial in the Bigsby's. We have these, what we call a soft touch spring. That we put on all of our Bigsby guitars, Roller Bridge. Of course, we set up all the guitars here, right? Everything has locking tuners, synthetic bone nut. These have an ebony board, and the Fishman pickups they crush. I mean, they're noiseless, but they still have that really great mid-range.
Oh, it's honking, that's a beautiful guitar. That's a beauty.
Yeah.
And that's called the GK90, you say?
Yeah, the Gristle 90 or the GK90, Greg Koch's signature model Reverend guitar in Venetian gold.
Now, is that a set neck or is that a neck through?
It is a set neck.
It's a set neck, okay.
Yes. And then I got this out for you, Dave, because I know that you're a black Strat guy.
I am.
So this is the first foray that we've done into, I mean, I said I'd never make a Strat. That's right. What I get for saying it.
Yeah, that's what everybody says.
We work with an artist in New York City named Gil Paris, fantastic jazz player.
Oh, sorry.
And Gil Gil's been a signature artist of ours for about 15 years, and he happens to like the era of Strats that I like, this sort of mid-90s thing. I don't know if you remember this, but in 95, they did everything with a matching headstock, and that's my favorite Strat. The neck, the pickups, the trem, everything about that era just sort of rings for me. I really think
I think that's when they have the 2-point tremolo with the flatter, yeah. And
Gil liked that era of theirs too, and had a couple of those. And when we were doing his signature model on one of our platforms, one very similar to what is over here. I keep doing the pointing wrong because it's weird.
Right, it's all right. Yeah.
And
can we see the back of that guitar? I just want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So we started
6-bolt on the neck.
Yep.
Looks like a satin finish on the neck too.
Yep, sure is. Roasted maple neck, Carina body Strat. And these are Fishman Fluence single width pickups. So Gil and Greg did a clinic together in New York, and Gil really liked the pickups in Greg's Gristlemaster, which started us having a conversation about putting the Fishman single coils in something for Gil. And then we sort of realized that nobody was really doing a guitar like this with the Fishman pickups OEM. And so they were selling a lot of pickups, but you had to retrofit them into something, which means you had to put the battery pack or do the thing where you had the charger and the battery is in the back plate or whatever.
Yeah,
so by doing this OEM, we have the same charging system that we have on the Gristle guitars, and you get all the benefits of the Fishman pickups. And in the Carina body, I mean, it's a really fat sounding guitar. And the Fishman thing, you get to choose from a couple of voices, so you can do a very traditional Stratty type thing.
Very glassy.
But if you get in the bridge and pull up the tone control, it fattens it up quite a bit, and you can use a ton of gain with it. And it still retains that sort of glassy thing that these guitars are known for. It's fun.
Well, what are those guitars going for?
I think $15.99.
Yeah, it's a handsome guitar.
$15.99.
Yeah, buddy. But I mean, you're talking about a Carina body, roasted maple neck with $400 worth of pickups in it OEM. I mean, it's nice. Look at this ugly piece of shit.
I love that guitar.
No, this was yours.
I know what it is.
Yeah, I bought this one off of you.
Oh, you did? That was mine.
This was actually yours. I bought up a few of these things, and you said, "Oh, I'm thinking about selling my personal black one. Are you interested?" And I sent you a check.
Yeah, I remember.
Look at that. The one you posed with, Dave?
No. The one that I posed with was called an RL. It had the hardtail body. That's the
what was it called?
RL.
What a coincidence, huh?
Yeah.
They named it after your brother.
That's right.
It's a ripper.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's got the asymmetrical neck. It's a 1 3/4.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Reverend to come out with it. I'm waiting for Reverend to make
hands. So
that's what kind of started that whole thing, was the fact that I have big hands and not a lot of companies make a 1 3/4 nut width.
Right.
And so that's why I was like, I got to do it myself.
I always thought that you guys knocked this out of the park with the pick guard. The first time I saw one, and I'm a sucker for reverse headstocks too. And the first time I saw one of these, I just it's honestly, at 6.5 feet tall and 260 pounds, it does look like I'm holding a mandolin.
Right.
Because the body is very, very small.
It's 3/4 to a Strat, yes.
Yeah, but it is really, really comfortable guitar to sit down and play. And again, the neck width, it's really fun. The green one lives at my house and is one of my kids' go-to guitars.
How many of them do you have? How many of those do you have?
5.
Wow. That's awesome.
I have a pink hardtail. I have the green one. I have a red mahogany one from the 24/7 Spies guy, right? Is that
Jimmy Hazel.
Yeah, Jimmy.
I have that
No,
guitar.
I don't think the red. No, Jimmy had a black one, I think.
I
think the red one came from a guy who was a jeweler. Guy named Thorne.
And then I think I have an ML too, which is
okay. Full size.
Pretty Charvel-like, but pretty cool guitar.
Yeah.
Those are cool guitars, Dave. I thought you'd want to see that.
Yeah, I love it.
And
I still have a bass and the Strat.
Cool.
Yeah. Is that an Aria Pro?
In my hand? No.
Yeah. No, I looked at the headstock really.
This is a Heritage Millennium.
Oh, okay.
That's a beautiful guitar. That's an ebony fingerboard. Look at that thing.
Yeah.
Made in Kalamazoo.
Yep. So I wanted to show you guys. These are Nuevo 90 pickups in this guitar, and so I as well as being the CEO of the Reverend company, I also own Railhammer pickups. And I like to, I want to take an opportunity to just sort of show you, Dave, what we have going on here. So there's a few different versions of these pickups out there, and I will.
And so what it is you have the 3 screws, and then for the other you have the rail.
Yeah, correct.
All right.
I've got some full humbuckers here too. Sorry. So this is the these are the Reeves Gabrel's signature pickups. You can see what's going on here. So
they almost look like they remind me of the old Gretsch style pickups, but with a rail and a I don't know what you would call the slug.
Yeah, slugs. Yep. Yeah. So the rails under the wound strings keep the bottom end of the guitar very tight and compressed, while the oversized slugs under the plain strings allow the top end of the guitar to retain its warmth. So I mean, in a nutshell, the easiest way to describe it is if you think of like Dimebag Darrell's tone, because that's how it started with Naylor doing high gain stuff.
Oh, okay.
And so those old Ken Armstrong style pickups and blade style pickups, the blades take a very small slice of the magnetic field that's being created by the string, right? And so you get all this sort of natural compression with the blades. And so if you're doing like palm muted rhythm stuff, you get this really percussive attack that sounds great. However, the blades also bleed that over onto the high end of the guitar and can make the high end of the guitar sound very shrill and thin. So Naylor figured out that he could balance the blades with these oversized slugs and have a warm top end on the guitar while retaining that percussive thunk. And what we ended up here with are humbuckers with more clarity than any passive humbucker that has ever come before them. I mean, the string to string definition in all kinds of.
And those are passive, yes?
Yeah, they're totally passive.
Okay. Excellent.
And I mean, you can do palm muting rhythm stuff on the neck pickup, and it holds the neck pickup tight. So what we've done with the Heritage here with these Nuevo 90s is we've left the 2 full coils intact, and we've just removed one of the blades and 3 of the poles to take an even smaller slice of the magnetic field created by the string, right? And by screwing around with magnets and winding, we can make these pickups sound like noiseless P90s because we are just taking that single slice of the field, and it sounds killer. And so I'm good friends with the builder at Heritage, Pete Farmer, and I've had them do a few things for me with our pickups. I have a beautiful 530 here as well, full hollow body thin line, with our Nuevo 90 pickups in it. It sounds terrific, and they're just. Heritage makes beautiful guitars.
Can I see the back of that Heritage? I'm curious if the neck is finished or is it? Oh yeah, see, it's just
absolutely
natural. Yeah, that's a gorgeous guitar.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
what is that guitar called?
This is a Millennium, and I think the model number is H155M or H155 Millennium. But
beautiful guitar.
Obviously,
that's nice. I like hollow bodies that aren't oversized.
Yeah, I do too. And this comes in somewhere between, I mean, it's larger than a Les Paul profile, but not a lot.
Right. It almost reminds me
on us big guys
of the Pat Martino. headstock is similar to the Pat Martini Keno Gibson also.
Yeah. The Pat Martino.
What are you playing through?
I am running through a car Rambler.
Oh, the car Rambler.
Yes. That is
Very nice.
Let me get out of the way here. There she is.
Oh, okay. The 1x12 there combo.
That's correct. And then that's the Slant 6V over here with a 212 cab. And then that is a Rolla head over there, which is a 100-watt KT88 amplifier. It's awesome.
Who makes Rolla?
Rolla amps. He's out of Seattle, Washington.
Oh, okay. Never heard of him.
This is his signature head that he does for Bob Balch from Fu Manchu, and we do Bob's signature guitar. And so, yeah, we have those guys here. And there's a 65 twin underneath of that, which belonged to my uncle. Bought that new in 1965. It's got the
wow. So it's an 85-watt twin.
Yep, it has been in my family since it was new.
Going back to Fu Manchu, wasn't it Christopher Lee in Fu Manchu?
I don't think so.
Terrible joke. No, he played. There's a terrible on Mystery Science Theater. They have a Fu Manchu movie, and I'm pretty sure Christopher Lee plays Fu Manchu in it.
Are you thinking? Well, remember the Peter Sellers one?
Peter Sellers one, Fiendish Plot.
He did the Fiendish Plot. This one was called but Christopher Lee was also Fu Manchu.
I'm on it. I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, he's on it.
All right.
We glazed over it, but I want to just give you my pitch here for a second on.
Absolutely.
On the signature stuff and on the 12 strings and the baritones. One of the things that sets our company apart, and one of the reasons why we're so blessed and really fortunate to work with a lot of the artists that we work with, is that we do things a little bit differently when it comes to the signature artists. So two of our best-selling signature models are the Billy Corgan signature model guitar and the Mike Watt signature bass. And both of those instruments...
Mike Watt from San Pedro?
Yeah, that's him.
The Minutemen?
Fire Hose?
Yep. Minutemen, Fire Hose. Fire Hose would be my favorite band of all time if I had to be pressed. He was in the Stooges with Ronnie for a while there. And while I probably saw Fire Hose play conservatively 30 times between 86 and 94. When he got the Stooges gig was when Naylor and I started to really buddy up to him. So when we approached Watt about doing a signature bass with them, his response to us was, well, Brother Ken, Brother Joe, I love you guys. I love your basses, but you don't, I kind of have my thing. And you guys don't really do anything that approaches my thing. And I said, well, Mike, what we want to do here is we want to make your thing. Like every bass that you've ever played before, you like this bass for this reason and that bass for that reason. And you used this bass at this time because it was filling this role. What we want to do is make the bass that you want to play now without any preconceived notions of anything that came before it. I don't just want to put your name on something that we make and sell it and give you a royalty on it. We want to actually make what you were going to take on the road and play. And it was the same thing with Corgan. Corgan had just come off of a major signature deal with a huge manufacturer, and it was just he wanted something that was uniquely his. And so Naylor sits down with these guys, and Joe Naylor is the founder of Reverend Guitars, and he's who my wife and I bought the company from him in 2010 and hired him back immediately to be the designer and to work with the artists, because I don't do that. I run a company and sell stuff, but Joe has this ability to listen to what these guys are saying and what they're describing and turn that into an instrument. That is a talent.
Ryan, I sent you a link.
Admire. So we, as you know, Amir makes all the guitars for us, right? So Joe will draw up and design a guitar, and we have Mir make the prototypes. We don't have some sort of magic lab where we press a button and CNC machines whip up prototypes for us here in the States. We have them done, and we give them to the artists, and the artists take them out on the road, and it goes from there. So that way, when we go into production with something, when the process is finished, We are selling our customers the exact guitar that Billy Corgan is touring with, that Watt is touring with. Reeves plays this guitar in The Cure. If you go see The Cure and you see these guitars come out, there's no difference between what we sell and what Reeves is taking on stage. We even set up the guitars in our shop with the strings that Reeves uses. So you are getting exactly the guitar the way we even set it up when we're shipping it to them. So, and I think that sort of, that gives us the sort of that thing with the artist relationship that sort of makes the guitar special. And it also makes some of the guitars a little weird, but that's okay because it is exactly what they're using. So it's sort of dialed in for their stuff. If you're a fan, I think it's rad. And I'm super proud of what we've accomplished, especially with Reeves and Watt, where we've really stepped outside of the box and made some interesting instruments. And our 12-string and our Descent baritones both follow that same path. When Naylor sat down to make the 12-string that you see over my shoulder, it wasn't just, well, we're going to slap a 12-string neck on this guitar that we're already doing, and we're going to have a 12-string Club King. We tried that, and it was a little bit boomy, and Joe thought, well, I can correct the boominess if we go from it being a bolt-on to a set neck, and then I'm going to extend this upper horn so that it balances properly so that we can put 12 locking tuners. It is 1 3/4 inch at the nut too. So Dave, you and I can actually play the 12 string.
Right.
And went through all
like
the
those old Rickies.
Yeah, right. For sure. And that is a chambered Carina body with a solid spruce top. So the spruce top gives it this like sort of acoustic zing that you can really pick up on and helps give all the 12 string stuff definition. So, and as a result, and I mentioned it when we sort of came around on that earlier, we sell a lot of 12s and a lot of baritones because even, you guys that are like dyed in the wool G&L guys or PRS guys or Gibson guys or whatever, we have something to sell to them that they can't get from another brand. I mean, there's a few really niche products that we have that really address something that nobody else is doing at the moment.
Now the baritone, are we down B? Is it B to B?
B standard. Yep. B standard.
B. Okay. And have you thought about, because that Reeves Gabrel model, I'm telling you, would be great in a full bass 6, the full octave.
The one I was holding, the little gray one?
Yeah.
It would be a balanced nightmare, however.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, because
we have thought about that. There's ideas. Let's say.
Also, I also thought if you did a paint
there
scheme,
are base 6 ideas, but it wouldn't be on that platform.
If you painted a Superman S on his guitar, you could say it was for the Christopher Reeves Gabrels.
Oh, Dave.
Oh, well, then I'm not even going to do my Spruce Dickinson joke.
Oh God. Nobody warned me that it was going to be this bad. I'd be shocked, but I know you just enough to not be surprised.
Hey, listen, let me say this. Someone is saying they love the rock orange. Will we see a return of Ron Ashton Volcano model? Let me put that up there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, no.
Okay, so that's a no. We like those answers.
My really good friends at a major manufacturer cease and desisted me on all those models a couple years ago, and knowing full well that I don't have the pocketbook to fight them on it, and because it was such a small percentage of our overall business, we just decided to stop making it instead, and we went a different way with the Ron Ashton model. But it really does kind of suck that brand shit all over Ashton's legacy for us. Appreciate that. But it happened, and that's the way it goes out there. That is, you were talking about the community of this business, and it is really interesting how much most of us all just get along. Ron Moreno over at G&L has been a good friend of mine for 20 years.
Oh,
I don't ever do anything that we don't stalk each other or piss each other off or something. And in a lot of cases, we're competing for the same customer or whatever, but that's fine.
Sure.
We're friends. I have a lot of respect for what they do, and I'm sure it's vice versa. And Matter of fact, these Railhammer pickups have been my excuse to buy guitars for the last few years, and I've got a couple of beautiful G&Ls within eyesight that I have those pickups installed in because I want to demo those pickups in other guitars other than Reverend's because they're available through their own dealer network and they're available OEM through other manufacturers and things of that nature. And so I keep a stockpile of guitars around here, G&Ls and comparisons.
Sure. I picked up a 5-string bass from Ron about a year ago.
They make great stuff.
Yeah,
they're good
they
people.
Look, there's a lot of people that make great stuff.
You got that right.
And you guys are doing good. I mean, can you hold up one more time for people that may have missed it? The cat one, the gray cat, the Reeves Gabriel,
the Dirt Bike Royale and Feline.
The Dirt Bike Royale, and this is a beautiful guitar that to me it covers a lot of stuff because it has the vibe of a double cut Les Paul special. But at the same time, it's got a hipper pick guard. It's got the hipper headstock. There's a lot of vibes happening. It's very Cure.
Yeah, I love that. Cool. I like the bound headstock on these, and I just love this gloss. I love this gloss non-metallic gray. I just think that's fun as shit.
Cool guitar.
And then there's Reeves's autograph on the back of the headstock, and then this was set up by Zach Green, ZSG, our tech, who's been with us for 24 years.
Wow.
And this is Reverend guitar number 47579. So up to this point, we had made 47,579 guitars.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we're closing in on number 50,000. And I know somebody's going to ask if they can have number 50,000, but I'll be keeping that.
Yeah, I would hope so.
I have
there's
10,
only
20, 30, and 40. Yeah.
There's only so many ways you can make a guitar, but I have to say, Reverend's, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems to be the only somewhat original shape that has come along in years. It's like, it does follow the double cutaway and stuff, but you do the offset, plus you do the sharper angles. And I mean, very attractive guitars. I mean, I like the Senseis.
Yeah, I think that one right there, that's a beauty, the one you're holding right there.
Thank you very much. We're really proud of it. I hope Reeves is too. I'm heading out.
If I had that guitar, I might even have my band do Prayers for Rain from the from the Disintegration album.
I've had the pleasure of seeing The Cure a number of times over the last 10 years, but one of my favorite adventures is they invited my wife and I to see them perform at Wembley Arena in London. And we flew to London and stayed right in Reeves's neighborhood and rode over to the arena in the limo with Reeves.
Where did you stay? What we're in London?
Yeah, right, just a few blocks away from Abbey Road.
Oh, okay. Because I stayed in an area called Knightsbridge. I don't know if you've.
I wouldn't know it.
Yeah.
Usually when I go,
it's a fantastic city.
It is, and I don't know my way around there at all.
Right, it's still cool.
It's so cool. And just what a beautiful show that band puts on. It's unreal. If you're a fan of that band and you go to see them, they put out and they play for hours and they really get into their catalog and they hit the hits. You know what I mean? So
I just want to say, if there's people in the chat that are not that familiar with The Cure, Disintegration is a must-own album from I think it's 89. It is, and to this day, it's as current, I think, as when it came out, but it's just a fantastic record.
It is.
Is that the one with Friday I'm in Love?
No, that's
this is before that.
Fascination Street, the song Disintegration, Lullaby. The big hits on it were like Pictures of You and Love Song. Close Down is on a Plain Song. I mean, the album's just phenomenal. And it's a must-own record.
I saw that tour in '89 in Detroit. Pre-Reeves, obviously, Pearl Thompson was still playing guitar then. And the thing that, and I went to that tour because my, girlfriend at the time made me go. And I was blown away by Robert's guitar playing, just absolutely floored. He is an incredible guitar player.
Yeah.
And now the band with Gabrels too is just ridiculous. But Porl held his own. Porl was also an incredible guitar player. So Porl, in a few years after that Disintegration tour, when The Cure was on a break, Porl Thompson from The Cure played the Jimmy Page Robert Plant tour when they did the States. Remember the Page Plant thing?
Of course, yeah.
And Porl, I mean, they came out of the gate with The Song Remains the Same, and Porl just ripping all of Jimmy's leads. And I remember, like, we had really good seats for that show, and this is before internet, so you guys will understand this. You would go to a concert, and you would see somebody on stage that you didn't expect to see on stage because you hadn't heard. Right. I had no idea that Porl Thompson was playing for Page Plant until I was standing there like, holy fuck. And he just destroyed.
Now, if you were a Cure fan back in '89, were you also a fan of stuff like, did you like Cocteau Twins or?
It's funny that you would mention of those bands, Cocteau Twins was the one that I liked.
Loved them.
And I liked the Sugar Cubes too. There were what I didn't
York.
I like that stuff. I wasn't really into like Depeche Mode or New Order or any. The more club oriented it got, and the further it got from electric guitar, the less interested I was.
Depeche Mode,
I like
Violator.
the cover of Peace Train.
Violator came out. Something about Peace Train. What was it?
Sugar Cubes. I believe they covered Cat Stevens' Peace Train.
Yeah, the song.
I liked it better than the original. I liked it better than the original.
That's a good song. No,
that was
I loved Cocteau Twins, but Depeche Mode's Violator album was phenomenal, which came out like in '90, right after Disintegration. But what about, you ever hear of the Blue Nile?
Oh yeah, of course.
I see. I love all that stuff.
Right,
I have the Blue Nile poster right here.
I was 20, right, and I was
'89.
I was way too punk rock for all that shit. And I was playing in a punk rock band that we thought we were trying to do that sort of pop punk thing before it was a thing. So we were trying to fit in with all these hardcore bands in Detroit, and it never really went very well because we were doing this like full chord, more like Husker Du style thing. Dag Nasty
I love
thing.
Bob Mould.
Like the mixing of punk rock with metal or punk rock with guitar solos stuff was what Dag Nasty is still one of my favorite bands of all time. And we were.
How great is that first Sugar album?
I was just going to mention Sugar. That was a great album.
Amazing. So I was into that stuff. So the stuff that you're talking about was the stuff that the girls I dated were into. You know, and I was really into metal then too, and like bands like Coroner and Creator, and I like got all. And
that was the
still into that
real
shit.
death metal, yeah.
And so I went down a really weird path to get to where I am, you know, and I mean, still to this day, there's a lot of these guys still put out. Bob Mould still puts out. He puts out.
I love the District, whatever that District record was. I love it.
And Watt still puts out great music. You wouldn't believe the music that Watt puts out. These guys are just so unbelievably prolific and creative.
Yeah, I was a big.
Did you like Workbook at all?
Yeah, I love Workbook. That dude, Brasilia crossed with Trenton. There's songs on that record that my wife makes fun of me all the time because that's one of my travel records. And there's a couple of songs on that record that make me cry every time. And my wife makes fun of me every time we put it on. And I'm like, whatever. Own it. This shit is really good.
Yeah.
Have either of you read Bob's book?
No.
It's fantastic. Yeah, he put out a book a few years back called See a Little Light. It is a really cool book.
The Husker Du stuff went by me though. That was too. I didn't dig it as much as I liked him better solo. And then, of course, I loved Sugar. But
of course,
Sugar. I need sugar.
Yeah, I Metal Circus and Flip Your Wig are two of my favorite records of all time. But yeah, it is for sure. That's sort of where I was coming from musically. And when I
what
started,
about the Smitties? Were you a Smitties fan at all? Smiths?
Not as much. I much respect. Yeah. I much respect, but that just wasn't what I was into. And so when I started playing out in clubs, one of my very first shows, I opened up for a Southern California band called Big Drill Car, and their guitar player, whose name I don't remember, played a RG 550 and just popped harmonics and hit the original Ibanez Edge trem.
Oh yeah.
And it set me down a path for a really long time, and I still have this weird Ibanez fascination and collection.
I was going to say you and John Bingham,
and it stems from Big Drill Car, which is the weird part, because everybody's like, "Oh, you're really into Steve Vai?" And I mean, Steve Vai is the fucking god. I mean, the dude's a legend. He's amazing. You know what I mean? But that's not what started me down the path with those guitars. And the funny thing is, I like the guitar as an art piece and as an instrument. I got one of those new Pia guitars. Have you seen those?
Yeah. They're the modern gem, basically.
Yeah,
with
very ornate. Yeah.
I have one of those here in the building. It is ridiculous.
Did you get the white one?
It's a beautiful guitar. It's just.
I think the white one was the best looking one out of those.
I got the satin black one. It's unbelievable.
I'm sorry then. I didn't mean to say that.
It is.
But it's funny you say that about Steve Vai, because Steve Vai's a phenomenal player.
Ridiculous.
Doesn't do anything for me 99% of the time, but he's a phenomenal. And I'll say that because guitar playing, because you could take a look at a guy like Johnny Marr, who's doing, some pretty crazy jangly stuff. Yeah. And to me, that's just as important as ripping the harmonic minor scale up and down. It's like, and I'm not saying one is bad or not, because I'm a huge Yngwie fan and I love Yngwie. But there's other forms, and like of what Robert Smith did in The Cure on that Disintegration record, or even like Head on the Door, The Top. Pornography is a great album. Pornography in general is great. Thank you. Faith is good. But in general, it's there's so many great things that make up great players and great talent,
Absolutely.
It's funny when I hear people ask me, like, who's the best guitar player? I'm like, I can tell you who my favorite guitar player is, but who's the best? I mean, what's to say that doing this isn't better than doing that? Like, okay, so this guy can play fast and that's good. But I don't know. When you were a kid, were you listening to the fastest guitar player, or listening to Led Zeppelin too?
I think Vai's Flexible is probably his best stuff. That stuff he did in his basement. I mean, there's good music on those albums too, not just wanking.
There's always some.
My son is bad. I'm just saying it's.
I know.
Yeah.
I just wanted to let the chat know that
my son is a huge fan, and there's always something on every record, that I go, oh fuck, what was that? Like, just completely unexpected, and it is fun to listen because, like.
I think
how many times, and I'm not here to talk. I don't want to talk because music taste is so subjective, and I don't think that. Look at how many different styles of guitars we make, and look at how many different. Look at the gap between Bob Balch and Fu Manchu and Pete Anderson. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's so much going on here, and I like all of these guys and everything that they do. But it's always I love to be surprised. And that's one of the things that I like about Reeves so much is his playing is so angular but yet musical, and you never know what's going to happen next. And that's what I love. I'll be listening to these records with my kids, and he'll do something, and I'll be like, "Oh, I never saw that coming." And as much as I love Stevie Ray Vaughan, the Cold Shot video is also like I was probably 13 or 14 when that came out.
My mother liked that video too.
For Cold Shot. Do you guys remember the video? Where it's like throwing the guitars out the window and he reaches behind the couch and pulls out another one. I saw that as a kid and I was like, oh, I want to be that. Yeah. He never did anything that you went, oh, I didn't see that coming. You know what I mean?
Well, it's funny. Bill Bruford just put up a channel recently on YouTube, and he posted a live version of Elephant Talk. And just watching that band play, the interaction of Tony Levin playing the stick with what's his name, the main guitar player there.
Adrian Ballou.
The main
Robert Fripp.
Robert
We're
Fripp.
thinking of King Crimson, right?
Yeah, and Robert Fripp is playing along to the stick, and then he's coming across with these chimey chords, Adrian Ballou, and I'm just like, oh man, these guys. And there's some things I noticed live, the cues that they're giving each other to what section they're going to cut to, which I never noticed listening to the record. But live, I picked up on it. I was like, oh, he's letting him know he's changing in a bar. I'm like, that's killer. And it's just little subtle stuff. And I'm like, to me, it's like, what are you going to sit there and say? What's his name? Adrian Ballou not one of the greats. I mean, he's phenomenal.
He's unbelievable.
Oh, he's amazing. I mean, just the fact
super
that
nice
he's a
too.
piano player, guitar player, singer, all rolled into one.
Yeah.
It's.
But I just mean, like, it's just amazing when you take guitar and you look at these players, and it's like, the internet is very geared towards the shredder guys.
Sure, of course.
Because that's like what gets people excited that are into that.
Right.
But
I'm surprised King Crimson wasn't more popular in the 80s. Because I think those albums were excellent.
Phenomenal.
I mean,
but what I'm saying is like,
I think it went over a lot of people's heads though. Because
around 85,
pretty poppy.
They wanted the pop music, and they wanted the shred to be during the solo part. They didn't want this just have the solo part.
Yeah, how are you going to sit there and sell Thalo Hunginjit?
How was Heartbeat not a hit though? I mean, like that.
I see what you mean.
Yeah. It was, but the thing is, when I was in high school, I was really into the metal, into Iron Maiden, Queensryche. I remember when Rage for Order came out. But then something clicked, and I started listening to like Steely Dan and Toto. And I was like, well, there's actually some deeper harmony going on here. And then the Smiths, and I'm like, well, what is he doing on the guitar? How is he playing that fucking riff? And why is it that I'm a shredder and I'm struggling with that riff? What is going on? So, music's one of those things, just whatever you love what you do, but so much of it's good and great, and great.
When I first picked up a guitar, it was all about trying to impress people. I'll admit it. Mostly girls, but
I wanted to be in a band more than I wanted to become a guitar player for a number of years. And I started a band in high school to just do it because there was like a battle of the bands in my high school or some shit when I was like 15, 16 years old. And all the bands, this would have been 85, 86. And all the bands were playing like Europe and shit. And I was just like, I was mortified. And I was all into like Black Flag and the Ramones, which sounds like such a cliche now. But I mean, at the time, I was called horrible names for being, for having funny hair and being into Black Flag. I mean, the things that were hurled at me are so un-PC now. And it was part of my daily culture.
Well,
I just wanted to go into this room and show them that there was something else that had to do with energy and attitude and less to do with musical prowess. And I auditioned for this Battle of the Bands, and I think we played Nervous Breakdown and some other nonsense, Louie and whatever bullshit that you do at that age, some power chord rock. And naturally, we weren't even invited to play at the Battle of the Bands. But that wasn't what it was about. It was about going into this audition and turning shitty gear up to 10 and making a hell of a racket. And it was a lot of fun. And then the guys that I did that with, I ended up playing with for years. we got kind of good for a second.
So when I started playing guitar, it was at the end of me listening to Kiss, and I had played the tennis racket for many years in the mirror. And right when I was falling out of favor of Kiss, I started taking lessons, and I went to school one day and somebody brought in Led Zeppelin 2 and played it in school. And
So
I'm
what year
like,
would that have been, Dave?
7th grade for me was 1981.
Okay.
Yep. We're a year older than
I
you.
think a year older than you.
Did you graduate in 86?
I did.
Yep.
Yeah. You're 1 year older than me. Yep.
Yeah. So it was 1981. I could tell you like
And where was this?
Massachusetts.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I remember The Stroke was out, like that came out that year.
Amazing
And,
album.
And somebody brought in Led Zeppelin 2, and I'm like, I heard Whole Lot of Love, and I'm like, I love that song. And then the next one was What Is and What Should Never Be.
Never be. That's the one that got me.
And I'm like, what the hell's going on? Then I heard Heartbreaker, Living, Love, and Made, and I that was it. From that point on, I called up the guy who was going to give me lessons, and I said, we need to do Led Zeppelin, and that's it. I just want to learn how to play every Zeppelin tune. And that was it. It had nothing to do with trying to pick up girls. I never had a problem talking to people. So I never was like that. This is my in. For me, it was more like, I want to play that stuff. That's it. Just the music just got to me. I was like, that
With Zeppelin, stuff. the way we got into Zeppelin, or at least I did, was that we all knew the songs. We just didn't know Zeppelin did them. And then when people turned us on to it, wow, they do that song? They do that, Trampled Underfoot, they do that too. And it's like, I was just amazed at, that catalog.
Yeah, we're talking about this pre-internet shit again.
Yeah.
So how long was it before you realized that it wasn't Zeppelin that did Funk 49?
I
thought that was Zeppelin all through middle school.
I'll say this, the voice that he sings on Funk 49, when I was a kid, I always thought that Joe Walsh sang Never Been Any Reason by Head East.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. I always thought that was Joe Walsh too for a number of years.
Krell, your mic's cutting out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Push it further away.
I think I crept up on it.
Yeah. But yeah, I always thought that was I always thought that was James Gang. Like when I first heard it, I was like, oh, and then it was like years later, I think when the movie Dazed and Confused came out. And I said to a buddy of mine, who the hell does that song? And he was, without blinking, he goes, Head East. I'm like, what?
Yeah, Does Joe Walsh sing for them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got really stuck in that Southern California thing for a long time because that's what I was into in high school. And I followed all the bands that came out of SST Records, and I learned how to play guitar playing along to all the Black Flag records. And Greg Ginn from Black Flag was really riffy. I mean, the songs on the Slip It In record and the Loose Nut record, there's like a lot of really cool single note riffing type stuff. And I would just sit in my room and play along with it. And I really thought, and it was funny because I didn't know that, all the punkers hated all of that later Black Flag shit, all that riffy Black Flag shit, because, they just, they weren't hardcore anymore and they're turning into a metal band or whatever. And I loved that shit.
Right.
And I still do. I mean, I still find myself like demoing with some of those old songs because they're a fun way to show off the Railhammer pickups or whatever. I mean, and they're just fun songs to play. And people are like, is that yours? I'll be like, no, that's like Black Flag from 1984.
So 1981, you're 12 years old.
Yeah.
I consider that time in everyone's life to be the most important musically, because I think when you think back to the albums that you heard that year, that's like some of the biggest stuff that stays with you.
Yeah.
Give me your album from 1981 that stays with you.
Paranoid.
You were listening to Sabbath Paranoid at that time. Nice.
Yeah, and that's the other record that,
What about the Dio stuff that had just come out?
I didn't never. Well, I love Mob Rules, dude. Mob Rules is such a good record.
See?
It's
you were
such
13.
an underrated Sabbath
12.
record.
Yeah.
I love that album. But it was Paranoid. I mean, the 8th grade thing. And
Paranoid Bomb is saying you guys need the Greg Ginn signature model. Greg Ginn also had a great hit with My Love's in Jeopardy.
Oh, stop it.
I'm joking.
Stop it.
The Greg Ginn band.
I did a few gigs with Ginn a few years ago, and he is a very, very difficult guy to talk to. And he plays really weird guitars, and the instrument is not his focus. I know that sounds weird, but I mean, but there's a lot of guitar players out there that are like that. We have the pleasure, and we got a lot of mileage 15 years ago out of Dan Auerbach from the Black Keys. And he played Reverends on their Attack and Release record, which is the record that really kind of broke them. Like they already had a thing going, but that really put their shit everywhere. And we talked to him in the tours leading up to that. He was using our guitars. He recorded that record with our guitars, and we got emails and talked to him a bunch while the recording was happening and after the recording, and how happy he was with everything. And then he just moved on to something different. And we were like, we'd really like to do an instrument with you. And the response was, well, I just sort of play whatever's closer to me and whatever sort of strikes me in the mood. And I don't consider any one instrument to be my sound. I just use whatever's around to make whatever happen. And it's so funny because there's a range of there's guitar players who, the other side of that is like Danny Muggs in Detroit, who has been playing the same white Les Paul Studio for the last 30 years. Right. And that's the only guitar he's ever going to play. And he won't even look at another guitar because that's it. And then you have these guys where the gear is just sort of the instrument itself is just sort of a secondary thing compared to what they're doing on it. Right. And Greg Ginn is definitely one of those guys where it's like, he's got this weird, like carbon fiber neck Strat thing that
someone said Lucite or something.
The old Lucite, I mean, he had some Dan Armstrongs back in Black Flag, and that was fucking rad. That's the tone of his that I just love, where he like somehow corkscrewed a humbucker into a early Armstrong and painted it gray and cranked it through some weird like Ampeg rigs or something. And I love that sound. But the thing he's doing now is like it's a graphite neck modulus style kind of Strat thing that I think would sound terrible in anybody's hands but his. And
Dave Lasky just says, let me just say this real quick. He says the album you discover a band on always becomes your favorite. I would disagree with that, but I would say it will always remain one of your favorites by that band. But I could think of a lot of bands like Zeppelin, where Zeppelin 2 brought me in, and my favorite's Physical Graffiti.
Me too. Both things.
Right, or like Cocteau Twins that was brought in on the Pink Opaque and Treasure, and Heaven of Las Vegas is my favorite. And The Cure, I can think Head on the Door was the album that brought me in. And
you're talking about rare bands, in my opinion. There's and again, music is very, very subjective.
Sure.
So it's, I mean, and I don't think that anybody's wrong. When somebody has like, if you were to tell me that Presence was your favorite Zeppelin album, I wouldn't be like, you're an idiot, Dave. Nobody likes that shit.
Absolutely not. I love Presence.
Right. But you because that's your thing, and everybody's got their thing.
Killing Last Stand, Royal Orleans, For Your Life. Love that album.
It's very rare that bands grow, and very few bands consistently put out good music for decades. And certainly there are a lot of people that have done it. But I mean, it's an easy thing to say that the record that got you into a band, because a lot of bands have the sophomore slump and come back strong with their third album, and that third album is the album that everybody loves forever or whatever. And then there's those bands that just keep getting better, which is a rare thing, but they're out there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about keep getting better. There's definitely some movement, definitely bands growing. Like the Stones are definitely a better band in the 70s than they were in the 60s.
I agree. Yeah.
For me. And in the 80s, not a great decade for them, but better in the 90s.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, the Beatles were better in the 70s. I'm just joking.
And is this where we talk about the Beatles documentary? Because it has been an hour.
No.
I'm not a huge fan.
I love the Beatles too. It was a tough watch. because I mean, I can understand archiving that much footage, but there were times I was sitting there going, okay, move along.
Angel Martinez says Zeppelin 4 is a masterpiece. Absolutely. If somebody was to say, I think a lot of the Zeppelin albums are fantastic. I love, my least favorite album, and it always gets people up in a tizzy, but it's definitely the one where the girls are on the rocks. What the hell's the name of that album?
Haas.
It's a great album, but I could do without the grunge.
Yeah,
the Ocean is overdone for me.
Oh, I love it. I still love it.
Yeah. So that record,
No Quarters on that too, isn't it?
Great record. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's still a fantastic album. But we're talking about, when I say that it's my least favorite, it's my least favorite diamond ring. You know what I mean? It's like
right.
Yeah.
It's old. It's
yeah.
See, he says his least favorite Zeppelin 3, and 3 has Friends and Bronnier Stomp and Tangerine and Gallows Pole. I really like 3. Out on the Tiles is one of my favorite Zeppelin tunes.
I like Out on the Tiles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why it was originally, why it's called Out on the Tiles? Because that was the original title of the song. And then they reworked the song and changed it around. And I guess they wanted to call it All Your Love. All I need from you is... But Bonham couldn't remember whenever they would call off the new song title what the hell they were talking about. So they would say it, play Out on the Tiles. And so then that's how he knew what song it was. Because they had reworked it and changed it.
I really thought you were going to make a bad joke. But no, that was an interesting story, Dave. Nicely done.
Thank you very much. No, I think it's funny as hell.
Very cool. Yeah.
They couldn't. He could never remember when they were live, when they called off, when they were working on the stuff, calling off the song. He'd always be like, "What the hell song is that?" They're like, "Out on the Tiles." They're like, "Great, okay," and that's why they kept the original title, which has nothing. Out on the Tiles is about me. Is a British expression for getting shit faced, which is what has nothing to do with the lyrics to the song about being in love.
A little off topic, but I
away.
had a drummer that would always, almost every other song, I'd be like, how does this song start off?
Yeah, that's every drummer.
And it's like, but what I also hated is like,
it's called drinking.
There was songs that started off where it's drums, whether it's an intro, or something like that, or just a drum intro. And he would count himself off before he'd come in with a drum beat, a solo drum beat. And I go, what the hell's the purpose? It's like, just come in with the drum beat. He go 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, you ever hear someone brought up Fool in the Rain? Have you guys heard the Fool in the Rain, just Bonham playing it by himself, the recording of just his drums?
No, but I
haven't heard that. No.
Oh, but he's like, starts off, a 1, a 2, a 1. He counts himself off ridiculous. And then he gets ready to
Yeah, that's a cool drum beat.
Oh, fantastic.
If you listen through headphones, a lot of this remastered stuff too, you can hear his bass drum pedal squeaking sometimes when he's playing. It's like, and
you can hear it in the recording on that.
Yeah.
It's also a great bit when Dennis Miller, when the Beatles CDs came out, and they said Charles Manson heard the CDs. He said, after listening to this, the clarity is unbelievable. There was no hidden message to me. The clarity on these things are unbelievable. I think
Dave, you can't resist. Hey, I don't know if you guys, I don't know if you were prepped on this in the pre-show, but I know a lot about Pink Floyd. I play in the world's most ridiculous Pink Floyd tribute band. It is called the Polka Floyd Show, and it is a Pink Floyd tribute polka band. Guitar, bass, drums, Hammond organ, and accordion. And we've performed at the NAMM show in California. We've
been doing it for a long time.
We do Oktoberfests all over the country. We've had a blast. We've been doing it for years. And it's funny because all of that Pink Floyd music does transfer over to Polka. And the number one comment that we get is Floyd people come to see us and they say, I came here fully expecting to hate you. And I like the reverence with which you treated this material and you made it really fun. And we performed The Dark Side from beginning to end. Wish You Were Here from beginning to end. For a while, we were performing The Wall from beginning to end when we had a different piano player.
Awesome.
We haven't put that back together again. And I have performed The Wall. I did it once at the St. Louis Oktoberfest. And we performed The Wall in front of about 2,500 people, drunken partygoers, at this giant Oktoberfest, which was put on by Budweiser. And I was mortified when we started doing it. We had advertised that we were going to do it. And I really thought when we start getting into the end of side 2 and side 3, you know, with the whole, like, we turned the Don't Leave Me Now into a big waltz thing and like, and era and all the stuff that you don't associate, you know, with people performing live. And the entire time we did that performance, none of us, I mean, we could have all stepped away from the microphone and let the crowd sing it. And it's one of those like funny experiences because I've what that must feel like for a band that size, because what it felt like for me in front of a couple thousand people was amazing. So to scale that out to a band like Pink Floyd that plays in front of 80,000 people singing your lyrics back to you has got to be amazing. But the music is so timeless and we have so much fun with it that there have been numerous times over the years where I was like, I've been doing this for a long time and I've got other musical interests going now and I don't think I'm going to do this anymore. And then the phone rings and some festival wants us to come out. And then at first I was like, well, I'm just going to start quoting this thing ridiculously high. And then people started paying it. And now I've got a lineup of guys. The bass player and the drummer have been with me the whole time. But now I have this guy on Hammond who is just so good. And the accordion player is so good that, and the accordion player comes from this like Irish thing, you know, which adds a whole other thing to it.
A Celtic.
Yeah, man. Which then the original accordion player was like the Polak dude, and so now I can't resist, and we've been doing that a little bit again, and it's a lot of fun.
What's your favorite Floyd album?
Dude, God, it's so hard.
I know. I love them all. But I have a favorite.
I've played them to death, but my favorite is Metal by far. I just we actually perform. We perform all 20 minutes of the song Echoes.
Fantastic song.
And it is so much fun to play. And that's another one too, where I always think we're going to lose people, and then people are more into it. You know.
And Fearless is a great song. What else is on that?
Yeah, Fearless is a great song. They're all great songs.
One of These Days.
But
Animals is my favorite. A Sheep is one of my all-time favorite songs.
Yeah, I love
Animals. Dogs. I love Animals.
I can see Echoes being a polka.
Let me try to get this on the. One of my first tattoos on my forearm is the artwork from the Animals LP. So there's the dog leg and the pigtail and the pig, the pig's leg, the dog leg, the sheep, the dog.
Nice.
Yes. But yes, huge Animals fan as well, of course. That's Roger's all pissed off era. And that is, we do a medley of Pigs and War Pigs, by the way. It's ridiculous. But I have a lot of fun in that band, and I consider myself very fortunate to at 50, I'm 52 now. The phone still rings. And we still take it out on the road, and that's badass. And the other, I play in a local band here in the Toledo area called the Zimmerman Twins, where I play an old 1958 Fender double neck console steel, double 8-string, and in sort of a rock Americana, rock country setting, mostly rock. And mostly steel guitar, and I play a little telly in that band too, and I love it. And that band gets down to Nashville every once in a while, and we've done the NAMM show in Nashville, of course, and among other things down there. And then lately, the thing that's been occupying most of my time is I'm playing lead guitar in a band called Jay Navarro and the Traders. And Jay Navarro is the lead singer for the Detroit band, the Suicide Machines. And we do like a ska, punk, reggae type thing.
Nice.
And it is a blast. And we are touring in May with Boston's own Big D and the Kids table. And we're going to be doing the East Coast with those guys for a couple of weeks. We'll be in your area. I will make sure and harass you.
Oh, absolutely.
When I know the Boston date, where and when it's going to be, I'll make sure and let you know.
Oh, cool. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, man.
Now, let me ask you this question, because were you ever a fan of the Final Cut?
Not particularly. I get a lot of requests from it. And I got to tell you, with the Polka Floyd thing, there has not been a song that we have wanted to perform that has stumped us, where like we've been able to convert pretty much all of their material either into 2/4 time or 3/4 time.
Sure.
The Final Cut stuff just didn't. There was nothing there that was hooky enough that translated any of it. It translated into this band. As a fan, it's an interesting record because in your mind you want it to be the end, and
well,
so
I think the song "The Final Cut" is one of their best songs.
It's fantastic.
Through the fish islands of tear-stained eyes.
But I mean, like I said, it just none of that stuff really worked for us for what we do. I like it, but it didn't.
I could see that Memorial.
Can
Home
you
song,
negotiate
Polka.
the minefields on the ground?
What was that Memorial Home song?
The Fletcher Memorial Home.
Yeah, Fletcher. I could see that being a polka.
I'm such a big fan of The Wall that the songs that are on the Final Cut that were sort of left over from The Wall writing thing, with Roger, the songs that basically didn't make The Wall, like that one, are cool, and it's fun to think about where they fit into the Wall story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, as an example of like the 2/4, 3/4 thing, and as goofy as it sounds, the band sounds something to the effect of, "Mother, do you think they'll drop the bomb?" See, it all works. Mother, do you think they'll like this song? And then when you get to the bridge,
oh yeah, you got to change to waltz. Yeah, because it's originally 6/8.
Yeah, that kind of
You
stuff.
ever changed words, lyrics to fit more of a Polish
very
thing?
often.
Like,
They're not doing a Weird Al thing.
Because when that's the thing.
Your polka.
That's
it's like
and parody is where you piss them off. And parody is where you have to get permission. Like we put out records and do these shows and stuff, and we pay the appropriate royalties, and we don't have to get permission outside of the royalties because we're not changing the lyrics. But the second you change the lyrics, then you have to get a yay or nay. And
not
if it's parody, it's protected.
Well,
yeah,
If you may still
because
Roger's aggressive.
Yeah, but if it's changing the lyrics just to change the lyrics, then you need permission. But if you're changing the lyrics to parody a song like Weird Al does, he never needs permission from anybody. He gets it because he doesn't want to piss those people off.
Sure.
And I think one time someone didn't want him to do it, and he said he did it anyway, and he did it anyway.
Yeah, and he got some shit for it. The only one we do where we change the lyrics is "We Wish for a Beer." We're just five lost souls looking for a cold
That's what came to mind when you said Pink Floyd and polka. I said, "Oh, I wish I had beer."
Yeah, there you have it. Yeah, throw a little roll out the barrel in there. Although we roll out the Barrett, we don't roll out the barrel.
What's that one?
Yeah, fit a few pierogies and glumpkies in there. And you're all set.
We do a ripping version of the Gnome and of course Astronomy Domini, and we used to play Bike, of course. One of my favorite things to do is the last song on Saucer Full of Secrets. It's awfully considerate of you to think of me here, and I'm most obliged to you for making it clear that I'm not him. And you know that song that oh shit, now I'm not gonna get it.
The one I hear all the time on the radio lately has been See Emily Play.
Yeah, I love See Emily Play.
Yeah. I like, and speaking of metal, there's a song, I think it's on Obscure by Clouds, Free For.
Yeah, Free For, yeah.
Free For.
Yeah, what a ripper. Yeah, that's a great song to play, and so is the song right after it on Obscured by Clouds. Childhood's End.
Oh, okay. David Lasky, I would say it's very similar.
Sleep. Seems the price is just too deep. Yeah, and he just that I love that Obscured by Clouds record because it really does bridge the early stuff to what was coming with the Dark Side thing, and especially with David's lead playing, because the guitar solo at the end of that Childhood's End song is just crushing.
I always thought, I don't know if you know anything about this, but they toured with Frank Zappa in like 72.
Mm-hmm.
73, if you listen to the solo to Money and then go listen to the solo that Zappa plays on the Grand Wazoo, which was the album he was touring, they're very similar. They're
I gotta
very
go back and listen
similar.
to that.
It's like, are you kidding me? Like,
well, that's what they say about Led Zeppelin 1 too. That Jimmy came back from the States after doing the Yardbird tours and basically saw somebody playing Dazed and Confused in a club in New York.
Jake Holmes.
There's all those stories about these guys picking up stuff and picking up riffs, and I think he
stole everything. He stole the whole song, but I think he did it with the Yardbirds first.
Yeah,
I think he recorded it with the Yardbirds.
Yeah, Dazed and Confused. He changed the lyrics though. The lyrics for the Jake Holmes was different.
Yeah,
Except
and also if you listen to Alice in Chains, I think "Hate to Feel," which was like the one song on Dirt that Lane Staley wrote, I think that is a little Dazed and Confused as well. I'm like, what the hell? No one's picking up on this.
Come to think of it, yeah. I mean, Dirt's a great album.
Hey, what the fuck will it take? Which I love that record, by the way. And I Hate to Feel my favorite tune of the record.
But very depressing record, but it's a depressing record that's great.
Yeah.
I miss the 90s. I don't know how.
I miss
the whole
80s
thing.
and 90s. And 70s to some extent.
You're saying you miss or missed?
No, I missed it. I missed it. All those bands. I didn't.
Oh.
I have to go back and re-examine my appreciation of all of that stuff occasionally. Well, I was busy playing at the time and doing stuff and building a life, and I just there was a whole slew of bands that remind me of that I just didn't pay any attention to.
After '93, I shut down on new music.
Criminally, I didn't pay any attention to that band, and I probably should have paid a lot more.
Which band?
Alice in Chains.
Oh yeah.
No disrespect. I just don't know anything about them. And I understand that people like them, and I understand that
Jar of Flies is good.
Yeah,
Jar of Flies is fantastic. Yeah. You didn't like them, huh? What about Soundgarden?
It's not that I didn't like them. It's just that I didn't pay any attention one way or the other.
Soundgarden?
Yeah, I just wasn't. I wasn't. It sounds like such a stupid cliche. I just was not listening to corporate rock at the time. I was so tied up in my own head and in my own shit that I was doing between 91 and 2000 that I just missed a lot of shit. And I think that's one of the reasons too, where when that first System of a Down record came out, that smacked me right upside the head. I was like, what the fuck
Chop
is
suey.
this? There's bands that are doing this. Like, I had everything that built up to that band I missed. And then that band came out and I was like, fuck, wow. And then
They were interesting how they fit the Armenian
man.
folk music style into metal.
Yeah, that first record's crushing. There's no question.
What's the name of the singer?
Serge Tankian.
Serge Tankian, yeah. He had a unique voice.
He had a Taylor guitar, a signature, I think.
Could be. Everybody's got a signature model. Dave, where's yours?
Yeah, I know. Here it is right here. It's a Strat. So check this one out. It's a Strat. This was a Mexican Strat. I changed the pickups. I put a Wenge neck on it.
Ooh, yeah. Okay.
And had it lasered the logo in so I could fill it with acrylic paint. Ebony fingerboard, 1 3/4 nut, V-neck. Look at that wood.
Yeah, it's fancy. I like that.
And this thing, and then I have the high fret scalloped, almost like the way Billy Sheehan does his bass.
Yeah.
And it's my main guitar.
Nice.
It's what I use. I've been a Strat guy, Strats and Tellys. I don't know. They feel good. It feels like home. What song is that?
Oh, my first guitar was a 68 Telly. I still have it. It was my uncle's.
Wow.
It came with the twin. I got it when I was 11.
Yeah. New frets or no?
Nope, never fretted it.
Wow.
And I love it. You know, when I was a kid, it wouldn't do Sabbath. So, right. And let's say I didn't know how to make it do Sabbath.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have a better idea now. But at the time, I really did need a humbucker guitar.
I think he recorded the first album with a Strat, and then did he have to re-record it or something because something happened? But I know he used a Strat around the first record.
Could be. And then
and
then went from there.
Tony Iommi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the SGs with the weird pickups. I can dig it.
You're right.
But, yeah.
Bomb.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's a Madonna song. It's when you're then like a prayer. Hannah Bomb. Excellent call on that. God.
So Dave, I got to ask you.
Yes, sir.
So when did you go to LA? Now I'm going to interview you, everybody.
95.
So you went to LA in 95. And did you go right to West LA Music?
No.
Why did you go there?
So in 2005, I got budgeted to do a record with a girl that was an ex-girlfriend of mine. She was a singer. And we got to hire all these Nashville cats. Vinny Colaiuta did the record with us. Matt Rawlings, Herb Pedersen, Gabe Witcher, just Greg Lease on pedal steel. It was sick. And so we recorded that album, mixed it, and then I was very good friends with Mark Spiewak.
Okay.
At West LA. And then Don, the owner, said to me, you got to come. What are you doing? And I said, well, I got the next few months off after this project. I just was in the studio locked in for 3 months. He goes, I want you to come work for me. And I'm like, why? He goes, because if you dated her, you could sell anybody anything. And I said, you son of a bitch. And
what took you to California to begin with?
Music. I wanted to get involved in doing music. Yeah, you know what's funny? So when I first went out to LA, I was like working at Gold's Gym. I got into bodybuilding. People didn't even know I played, and I became friendly with the Barbarian Brothers, Peter and David Paul. Okay. And they were working on. They knew everybody, so they were like, you know who Michael Cimbello is? I'm like, of course. Played with Stevie Wonder and Maniac and his brother Danny. Well, Danny's got a studio, and we need you to come down and produce a couple of tracks for us. I'm like, what? And I didn't even know if these guys were serious. So I went down there, and next thing you know, I'm knee deep into this project, and I'm working with a ton of people. And through that, I got all kinds of session work, and then I started doing sessions, and that's from like 97 to when I left there. I was doing sessions regularly.
So how did you end up doing the guitars when you started your guitar band?
So what happened was it was all serendipitous. I was playing Kramer Berettas, and I had done a gig a few years earlier with John Taylor from Duran Duran.
Mhm.
And I said to John, well, I listened to your record. It's a Strat. I'll rent a Strat to do your gig. He goes, nah, they're not renting shit. I'll drop one off at your house. So I go home one day and my roommate's like, John Taylor from Duran Duran stopped by. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. He put a guitar on your bed. I'm like, okay. I go look at it. It's a 1959 in mint condition Strat.
Jesus.
At the time, worth about $15,000. So I called him up. I'm like, are you crazy? What are you dropping this thing off? He goes, what do you think it's worth?
I don't want to be responsible for this.
I go, 15 grand. He goes, that's what I paid for it. So that was so I ended up using that. So then I loved this. I always loved the sound of Strats, but I always hated the way they felt. I always hated the narrow nut. I hated the round radius. So there were things about it that I didn't like. And there was an actor named Andy Bernarski who played Leatherface in the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and he said to me, hey, will you help out a couple of buddies of mine over at Schecter and do some setups? They need some help, and I know you set up guitars and whatnot. So I was like, yeah. So I went up there for like 3 weeks and did that there. But when I was there, I was like, this is crazy. I wasn't so much into the importing of the guitars as there was a guy who worked there named Shigeki, who made all their USA stuff. And I knew a guy, John Carruthers, and I went to him and I said, why don't we make something? Because there's nothing out there that I can play. Like I want a wide nut. I want it to be like a shredder. I don't care if it has a locking. Obviously, we'll put lockings on them, but for the most part, I don't need it. But just to offer, because I figured that's who would buy them. And so that's how it started.
And that was early 2000s.
That's, about 2003.
Okay.
By 2005, we were working with Grover Jackson for a little bit, and then it stopped because I was working on music.
Yeah. Well, and
I don't know if you know that I worked for RKS for a little bit too.
I guess I did know that. Yeah. Well, it's hard to launch something in this business. You know, I mean, as you know, it's very people are strange, and people are very defined. Guitar players as open and liberal, not liberal in the sense it's used now with politics. Fuck all that. I just mean open to new ideas and expressions as musicians and guitar players purport themselves to be. You know, you get a guitar player who's into Paul Reed Smith, and he'll fucking kill you if you try to show him something else. I mean, people get into stuff. You know what I mean? And
very branded.
And it's an interesting culture. And we're celebrating our 25th anniversary this year. And you know, I'm proud to say that we have super fans, and that's incredible. You know, I'm so thankful for that. But it's 25 years into doing this, you know. We'll put stuff on social media and I'll have comments. I got a comment the other day. Well, I certainly wouldn't pay that price for something I've never heard of, you know? And I could look at that and be like, well, fuck, man. I mean, I've been doing this for 25 years and our marketing is on point, and we have excellent advertising, you know, people here, and we have all these artists and we have all this stuff, and the fact that there's people out there who still have no idea what we're doing is encouraging to me, because that means there's still room to grow. There's still people out there who haven't decided they don't like us, right?
Absolutely.
And so, but it's interesting because I do that too. I can remember before I started working for Naylor at Reverend, and when I was in my Fender phase in the mid 90s, and we were talking about those Strats, and guitar shows were big in the 90s, and there were big guitar shows. And I would go to the guitar shows and just look at headstocks. And if I didn't see what I was looking for, I just kept walking. I didn't give a shit. And it took a long, I've grown out of that now because now I like just about everything. It's funny, the brands that I don't like for personal reasons. The stuff that I don't like that's in the marketplace now doesn't have anything to do with the instruments itself. It's because I know the guys that run the companies are dicks, and I don't want anything to do with it. And it's not you're laughing, and it's not the employees either, because there are great people that work for these companies.
No,
and
I
like
exactly
the sales people, and I like the marketing people, but it's just it's a weird business.
Some things I dealt with when I worked for different companies. When I started making my own, some companies got mad at me, and I've got cease and desists from companies that I ignored, and rightfully so, because I do know something about the law. But I don't blame them for trying. And I get a kick out of on the internet. So to me, I think personally, Fender is amazing when it comes to trying to protect it doesn't even make sense to me on the legal aspect of how they can try to protect their logo and their headstock shape, but then they can sell their headstock shape to somebody to license to make it, and a company like Nash puts it out. Legally, I wonder how it happens, because trade dress can't be filed. It has to be it's like Coca-Cola saying to Pepsi, here, why don't you use our bottle? Well, then it takes away it's your bottle anymore.
Right.
But there's such fear of there's some big monsters in the industry that like to throw their muscle around and wait and say they get litigious, and but for the most part, there's enough to go around to make money. And if people can't figure it out, that's on them. Well,
the other thing that's funny about this business to me is that nobody's getting rich. There are a lot of rich people in this business, and they were rich before they got here. It's and I feel for people. I get the guys that come up to me at the NAMM show, and they have a little invention or a little thing or an idea or something, and they want to show it to me and share it with me or whatever. We get emails here and solicitations for guitar designs and stuff, and I can't look at somebody's guitar design. I mean, I've got this thing with Naylor that's working, so I'm not really interested in looking at anybody's guitar design. But I mean, what if I looked at something that somebody sent me, and then a year from now or 2 years from now, I make something that person thinks I got something from their thing. And so then I have to try to explain to the guy, well, I don't want you to sue me in a couple of years. So I didn't even open the envelope. If you'll notice, I just sent it back to you. But thank you so much for I want to be nice. You know what I mean? Because the fact that somebody is so enthused, and then they've come up with something that they really want to share with me, and I respect that, all of that. But because of the way things are, you have to watch. You have to watch that kind of shit,
Yeah.
And then too the switching systems and stuff. Like, these people come up to us with all kinds of crazy stuff. And one of my favorite things and quirky things about this business is people constantly putting stuff out in the marketplace that has already failed. And it's just like a never-ending stretch. You're laughing. I mean, I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to be a dick, and I'm not going to call anybody out by name or anything like that or whatever. But I mean, it's funny to me when you see guitars that were made already that nobody bought, but because they were made, 30 years ago, we're going to drudge this back up. Or amp companies that lasted for a couple years.
We'll see if now is the right time.
And then I'll tell you, and not to, but it's even got done with companies of friends, people that I like and know, and they're like, "Let me show you something cool." And to go back to Fender, Fender is afraid to change things And I'm gonna lump them in too. G&L, the same thing. They're afraid to change things that Leo designed because that's Leo's.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, it's Leo's 60 years ago.
Yeah, okay, but they should, in my opinion, and it's funny, I totally know what you're saying, but I see why they are, and they should be. Because like look at Gibson. Like Henry tried to do stuff with Gibson. Every time Gibson has put out a guitar that is not a Les Paul, an SG, a 335, a V, or an Explorer, or Firebird. We'll throw Firebird in there just to be nice.
Okay.
Anytime they do something that's not one of those platforms, it's fucking garbage and nobody wants it. And all the Gibson guys are like, fuck that, you can't do that, and
yes, I would agree. But look, you have the Les Paul, right?
Right, of course.
82, they came out with the Les Paul Studio. Pretty successful.
Sure.
But then they came up with the Les Paul Axis. Very successful. Right? So the problem is, I'm not telling these companies they should go change what Leo did.
Sure.
Keep that the original model. But you got to make a modern version of your fucking instrument. When you got a guy like Eric Johnson, who's your signature guy, and he's saying he wants a 12-inch radius, and that's the only guitar you can get it on, you guys are missing the fucking boat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What is Fender thinking? Like, oh, he wants it. Yeah, but everyone's buying an Ibanez with a 16-inch radius. Like, wake up. Make something, try something, and stop living on, oh, we like these saddles because these saddles that have the fucking Allen wrench things that goes into your hand when you palm mute, because that's what Leo put on the guitar in 54. Well, exhume them so I can crash his skull with it because the fucking thing has broken my ear. You know, it's like like you said, you like that 90s trem.
Yeah.
I love it too. I have it on my yellow Strat. I made a yellow all Warmoth Strat, and I went and bought that 90s. It's called the Deluxe with the pop-in bridge, the pop-in arm. That's what I wanted. Oh, am I blurry? It's probably my connection.
I think it's just you. I think you're blurry.
Yeah.
Like I've seen you in person.
I think you just had too much to drink there, Ken.
Yeah, when I'm standing in front of him, he's kind of out of focus.
Always. Yeah. Let me see. Maybe I can change. Let me try this. I'm going to try.
Uh-oh, he blew it up.
I hope I'm not knocked off.
We can hear you. It just froze.
Yeah, he sure did. Yeah. Well, you know what? We were sick of listening to him talk anyway.
Well, I think you can still hear us.
Yeah. Let's talk about Dave. Now that Dave's gone, let's talk about it.
Dave's not here, man.
He froze again. Look at him.
There he goes.
That's a good face. I like that. If you're going to freeze.
That should be the thumbnail.
It should be. Without a doubt. No, you're
it's
still
his puzzled look.
Yeah. Well,
while we're waiting for Dave,
we were talking about the legacy.
Still.
Oh, there he is.
There he is. You're back.
All right. Yeah, but now I'm on.
Okay, you're a little out of sync now. Yeah,
she's out of sync.
You're out of sync. Yeah.
The legacy brands have something that they have to live up to. And one of the things that's fun about us, and one of the things that's fun about working here and working with the artists that we work at, is that we're not weighted down by our own legacy, and we can do a hard left turn into something for an artist, and it's cool. And Naylor drops weird and interesting things all the time. And I think what makes Joe special is that he somehow makes the guitars approachable. You don't look at him and think that there's some sort of weird amoebas or anything. I mean, you understand the vibe and where we're coming from right away. And I think in some cases, some of the legacy brands are at a disadvantage in that regard, because, if Fender were to try to put out the model that we put out for Billy, it wouldn't have flown. Not to the Fender fan, but we weren't making it. We weren't thinking of the guitar legacy. We were thinking of the artist's legacy when we built that, which is why it worked. And as a relatively, I think what started off this whole conversation is that 25 years is a drop in the bucket. in this industry. You know, I mean, we're celebrating our 25th anniversary this year, and we are still competing with a company that's been in the business for 90 years and another company that's been in the business for 140. You know, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's been a quick 25 years though. I still
It sure
remember
has.
first seeing you guys in Guitar Magazine. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago.
No.
And like I said, the last time you were on,
Yeah, you were talking about Kid Rock.
It was Kid Rock.
Yeah.
And, you know, I remember that like it was yesterday.
Yeah, me too.
And then I realized, wait, Kid Rock came on the scene in the late 90s. So it's like, well, I actually saw Kid Rock play at the Strand in Providence. And now he was a hip hop artist.
Sure.
That he opened up for someone. And he had the hair all up there like an Eraserhead type thing. And he was like, I can't remember the name of the guy, Ice Ice Baby.
Vanilla Ice.
Vanilla Ice. He was like a Vanilla Ice wannabe.
He always had a good band, though.
He always good rock band.
Yeah, I mean, it was always kind of a rockin'. There was always a live music thing that was attached to it.
He's not a bad player himself. I mean, I got to hand it to him. He's a competent player.
We haven't talked to him in years and years.
He's not even relevant anymore.
He moved to Nashville and left all the Detroit connections behind, you know. So it is what it is. Hey, Dave.
I got to ask,
I'm
over
back.
your left shoulder, that gold, is that gold sparkle?
Yeah, sure is.
What's that model? Is that Sensei?
That, no, we're talking about this bad boy right here.
Yeah.
That is the Tommy Coffin signature guitar.
Yeah, you had mentioned that.
So, yeah,
do you mind pulling that up?
Well, yeah, man.
Yeah, I'd love to see that up close.
You got it.
I don't know what's on with my internet here.
That's nice. I don't even like sparkle guitars. I like that.
1 second. I'm just gonna try to fix this one more time.
Wilkinson Trem. Yeah.
Check it out, Dave. We put the headstock on the right way.
Yep, the reverse headstock.
See, I get, well, my fans yell at me, but in my opinion, this is the natural way for an inline headstock to be oriented, because you're playing, the E string's a little out, it's right there under your fingers.
Yep.
When you go to tune, you don't have to reposition your hand to tune. You play, you tune, you play.
Yep, I've had the first. It's a little screwy at first, but it makes sense after a while.
Well, it's just because if you're used to it, it's the most natural thing in the world. And I think with an offset waist guitar, just design wise, your eye with the angle of the body, because the waist is offset.
Yep.
The guitar moves in like a forward motion, and that angle matches the angle of the bottom of the headstock. And so I think reverse headstocks on offset waists look great. But I think on tellies, they ought to be illegal because they look terrible.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion.
Is that the $1,500 range right there?
This guitar, $11.99.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all.
And this is
I'm in the selling mode right now, but if I ever get into buying mode again, I mean, that caught my eye right away.
That's a Wilkinson VS50,
yep.
and the body is routed, so you can get pretty extreme with the trem. And the Railhammer chisel pickups, it's a rock machine, no question. See,
the dealer we have down here is in Providence, Empire Guitars.
Yeah, I know those guys. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I haven't been down there. No, I mean, especially since COVID and stuff. But I have no idea. It's a small place, but yeah, that's where I played a few Reverends.
They're really good people down there. We've been selling to them for a number of years now.
Oh yeah,
and they do a good job of keeping stuff on order and keeping stuff in stock. I wish we could do a better job of supplying them. I really do. It's been crazy the last couple of years. Like I said, we're taking orders, pretty far out into the future based on our production stuff. And it's complicated, but it's fun. Hey, there's Dave.
And I'm back. I think
Dave, did you hear me give the reverse headstock speech?
No, I missed it.
Oh, well,
It's
you see,
beautiful
so
though.
you play the guitar like this, right?
That's
And then when you go to tune, you just tune.
That's
and then,
exactly
you're back
right.
to playing. Yeah, I mean, and then with the offset waist, you got the angle of the body here, which enhances the angle of the reverse headstock. And so I love reverse headstocks on offset waist. I think it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I also
Forget
think
the mojo.
I also think it ought to be illegal on Telecasters. I think there ought to be a law. Every time I see
I
a
have
tele
a
with
I have a
headstock,
reverse headstock one on a telly.
I throw up in my mouth a little when I see it. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Mine's a G&L with a reverse.
I have a beautiful G&L Comanche with a reverse headstock.
Yeah.
Pretty killer. I like those Comanche pickups. That's some great shit.
They're weird looking, but yeah.
No, but so what? I mean, and that's
Yeah.
the other thing about this. And while we were, the conversation we were having before you froze up,
Yeah.
That too, people are so used to seeing the things that they're used to seeing that when you introduce something new, it has to be in the marketplace for a certain amount of time before people will warm to it, just based on what it looks like. You can have the greatest sounding thing in the world, and it takes a while but that's not what a humbucker looks like. Yeah, but you should really listen to it.
Unless an artist that they love is playing it, then it's like all bets are off. It's like, what's that?
Well, yeah, hopefully, right? That's what we
all. No, it always happens. People are
Yeah.
always like, "Oh man, I saw so and so." Now my picture looks really dark. Let me see if I can brighten it up. Here we go.
Yeah, he had me get he wanted to see that gold sparkle a little.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Love it.
Nice. And Rich is asking, how did Reverend decide on Carina bodies?
Oh boy, it's an interesting story. Originally, when we started the Stage King series of guitars in 2004 and 5, they were mahogany bodies, and mahogany in manufacturing can be very inconsistent. And interestingly, it was wildly inconsistent in that period of time. As you know, you'll get 12-pound Les Pauls. I mean, they're out there, as ridiculous as it sounds. And it really, the density of the wood has to do a lot with where it's located in the tree and all this kind of shit. And so Joe's designs, the Jetstream body that you see over here, the avocado green one, it's a kind of a larger bodied guitar, and some of the mahogany ones were just too heavy. And we were unhappy with the way it was coming out. And so we chambered the mahogany for weight relief, right? That's the thing that people do. And with the chambered mahogany, the guitar started to sound a little too dark. It just didn't have that upper register edge that we were looking for. So Joe started to put a spruce top on all of the guitars to increase the high end a little bit and give it a little bit more snap, right? And the guitars sounded so chambered mahogany guitars with spruce tops, and we still feature that in the line on the 12-string guitar and on our Club King guitars. But for the solid body line, it was a little weird. Carina became available to us through our manufacturer. They actually suggested it to us, and that they were able to get a hold of it. Hey, we have the ability to get a hold of a bunch of Carina. Would you like to check out some of the guitars in Carina? And we ran a few prototypes of the Jetstream and Charger series, and the Carina guitar by itself sounded just like all of the hoops that we were jumping through, as far as the chambered mahogany spruce top thing. And so around 2007, we just made the switch to go to Carina all the way across the board. And not only did we want to just sort of streamline it and have the manufacturing be a little bit easier, but it was also that sort of upper mid-range peak and the general light-weightedness of it made the guitars a lot more consistent in weight. Everything was within a few ounces of each other instead of having something be, within a weight range of 2 pounds. So that was part of the main decision. But the other thing too is just the Carina's just got this cool kitsch because of its association with vintage guitars. And a lot of our competitors at the time, and still to this day, will put out like a Carina version of something and charge thousands of dollars more for it, when quite frankly, the white or black limba that we use for the Carina is one of the most sustainable woods on the planet. As far as forestation is concerned, when it's harvested, it grows back very, very quickly. It's not rare by any stretch of the imagination. And so there were just all the stars lined up for us to use it. And I am frankly surprised that more manufacturers don't use it. And I'm glad that they don't, because it does give us that sort of marketing edge as well as liking it for all those reasons. So there you go, the long-winded answer.
Excellent.
Did I lose you, Dave? Did you go to sleep?
Oh, no, I shut my mic off just so I wasn't,
Yeah.
Trying to make
if you ask, I will answer.
It was because you were a big fan of the actor Dennis Farina. Oh, that's
I don't even know who that is. But there's got to be like a hot chick named Carina somewhere, right?
Carina. That's a good question. I know characters named Carina.
There you go.
Carina.
Like,
Yeah, you don't know who Dennis Farina is? Dennis Farina was in
he's in everything.
Midnight Run.
Shorty.
Oh, sure.
Get Shorty.
Yeah, I love him.
I just watched Midnight Run not that long ago.
Oh, it's a great one. Is this Moore in number 1? Put Moore in number 2 on the phone. It's great. Sydney, don't say a fucking word. I'll stab your eye out with a pencil. Oh, I love Dennis Farina in that movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I just watched that like in December. I'd forgotten all about it. I probably saw it when I was a kid, when it was new. Me and Krellbar was smoking cigars today watching the football game. Let me ask you this question. Have you ever seen the movie Narc? I don't think so, no.
It's Ray Liotta and Jason Patrick.
Okay.
Really good movie. No one's seen it. It's one of those things. God,
when did that come out, Dave? I don't.
2000 and maybe 3, maybe later.
2002.
2002. All right. It's a good movie.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I watch a lot of Columbo on Tubi.
All right.
Really, really classic. I enjoy it.
I'm currently watching Dexter. I never watched it.
I never watched it either, but I hear it's
everybody
good.
talked about it for so long, and I finally I don't know. I'm about halfway through the second season. It's all right.
You're the guy that walks up to the water cooler going, "You guys catch Dexter?" They're like, "Yeah, 6 years ago."
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. And that's about how far behind I usually am culturally.
Yeah, that's good.
So yeah, it does. It registers.
Yeah. Well, I was watching for a while. I was watching Seinfeld on Netflix. They have like the whole.
Oh yeah. We did that.
It's great. Yeah,
it is.
It's just great.
Yeah.
And then I was watching. I was watching a lot of Maude. Remember Maude?
Oh, there was a period of time where my wife and my daughter always had Golden Girls on in our house. So there was a lot of Golden Girls in 2020.
Oh, you have my sympathies.
I liked Maude.
Yeah.
If you know who the killer is in the beginning, why watch the rest? Oh, you mean of Columbo? Well, it's more the movie. Columbo's not about solving it like Ellery Queen was. It's much more just about watching him needle people.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I was watching Maude.
Conclusion. Yeah.
I was watching Maude recently, and Maude and Walter are screaming at each other, and I'm like, "This is the Costanzas." So all Seinfeld did was watch Maude and be like, "Yeah, that'll be George's parents."
Sure. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, Mannix and Cannon are fantastic. Hannibal.
After we watched all the Seinfelds, we tried to go back and watch all the Cheers, and I don't. It didn't seem like that held up as well to me.
No, my brother and I will argue to the end of the earth. He will say Cheers was great, and I'm not for me.
Cheers had some great episodes.
Yeah, I mean, it's not funny. And some of the episodes, some of the writing is fantastic. But to try to watch the whole series after the first couple seasons, it starts to get a little, I don't know.
I'm telling you, George Wendt and John Ratzenberger, they usually had the best moments on that show. It's Some really good moments.
Is that a place in Boston still, Dave?
Yeah.
Actually called the Bull and Finch. Yeah.
Yeah, Bull and Finch. I'm just trying to lighten my screen here. All right. Yeah, it's just right there on God, what's the name of that street? It's right before Charles Street.
Storo?
Am I blanking? No, I'm blanking on it.
I'm just name dropping. I don't know the street.
Well, Storo's yeah. No.
I know Commonwealth, Storo.
Yeah. I mean, not only is Cheers very dated, but like I think there's a lot of shows that are very dated. You know what I mean? Like to me, I think Car 54, which is what, the 60s, early 60s,
Yep.
to me that holds up better than
the humor does. Oh yeah,
than let's say the Jeffersons. George.
I watched about half of the first season of the Jeffersons recently too. It came up on one of the streaming platforms, and the first few episodes are incredibly interesting culturally. They really are.
Norman
really something. I mean, the first half a dozen episodes of the Jeffersons are staggering in the subject matter that they take on. You know,
we have someone.
Really,
you know, this guy here, Ken. Someone says David Kehoe says, "Hey, Ken Haas, we worked together in college years in Novi."
Nova, yeah, I know, Dave. Hey, Dave, how are you, buddy? Why don't you, David? I would love to hear from you. I think about you and your brothers every once in a while, and it would be fun if you dropped a line to the Reverend Guitars General email and let me get back to you. The last I knew, David had a Hungry Howie's what do they call it? Franchise in the Detroit area.
Hungry.
And, David's a good guy.
Hungry
David and I used to play guitar together years and years and years ago.
Wow, that's amazing. Rich says Norman Lear is still with us. He will be 100 this year.
That's amazing.
Yep. Norman Lear.
Oh, you know, we were talking about that Page Plant show earlier.
Yeah.
That was the last time I saw Dave Kehoe. He and I went to that show together, and that was the last time I saw him. I shit you not.
He's a teacher now, he says.
Oh, no shit. Good for him. Yeah, I'd love to catch up, man. That would be cool. Fun. Very cool.
Yeah.
When I hear Kehoe, I think of Kehoe from 48 Hours, played by Brian James. That was his character's name, I think. Yeah. Great character.
I love Brian James.
Blade Runner.
Yeah, Blade Runner and Fifth Element.
Yeah.
You know, the funny thing about Norman Lear, and you know, people are going to get mad. I think those shows were good despite him, not because of him.
Okay.
I watch Maude, and there's a lot of topical stuff, homosexuality. They talk about abortion. Who gives a fuck? I don't care. I'm watching those shows now going, I still don't care about this topic. But the comedy of the show was B. Arthur constantly yelling at Conrad Bain and Walter, what's his name? Bill Macy. It's their interaction and the way they behaved. The topics, it doesn't matter what you threw. It's like, I know he was trying to be like, we were talking about AIDS while people were whispering about it. Yeah. You know, you ever watched South Park, The Smug? It's like, the shows are so important because they talked about women's issues. Listen, if the show talked about women's issues and that was the show, it would have been off the air on the second day. The reason why this show was funny is because B. Arthur's screaming, belittling Walter. God will get you for that, Walter. That's what sold the show.
And Adrienne Barbeau. That is one voluptuous woman.
I think
I'm not a big fan. I like her as an actress.
Early years, it was good. When she was belly dancing behind Conrad Bain, she was
all right. We
nicely.
know the episode where they put on the play, the burlesque play. How do you know that episode? Behind Conrad Bain.
When I was a kid.
I watched the reruns. I'm not arguing with you, but I mean, in the thing that amazes me now when you look back at the 70s shows isn't that they brought those topics up. It's that they made light of they made abortion jokes, you know, and I mean, like really went right at the core of it. And those first couple of Jefferson's episodes with the interracial couple thing and all the things going on in that. And just the fact that
that was based on her real. That was based on her real relationship.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff, and we forgot that there's this idea that a lot of those things weren't accepted in this country, and the 70s, people look down at the 70s all the time, And I mean, and Watts says that, speaking as a child of the 70s thing, and I was a young child in the 70s. I mean, I was 11 years old when the decade ended. But looking back on the 70s culturally, it was a really interesting time in a lot of regards. And everybody's like, oh, 70s disco, the whole decade sucked. Music sucked, entertainment sucked, blah, blah, blah. No, it didn't. It gave birth.
I'll take disco over anything that came out in the last 20 years.
It gave birth to so many interesting things culturally, so many interesting movements.
The music was fantastic.
I agree with you completely.
People were spoiled when people sit there and go, disco sucked back in the day. Maybe it sucked for then, but you look at today's music, it's like, I'll take that disco all day. Give me the
even then,
BGs.
Even if you had disco dominating the radio, you still had a lot of rock acts
for sure.
As well,
and you had the AM Gold stuff, the Seals and Crofts, the England Dan and John Ford Coley. But my point about the whole thing about Maude was I watched these shows where, like on YouTube, I was after watching the show, I like to see what they're doing over the last 30 years interview wise. And every time they talk to B. Arthur, like I think around 2000, she's an old woman, and they're like, the show was so important. You were talking about abortion. I want to hit the guy who's interviewing it. I'd be like, you're an idiot. The show was funny because you're fucking funny. That's the show. Don't stop giving Norman Lear the credit. This woman was the show. She's funny. Yeah. She did that slow pan to the camera, looking in anger, going, God, I'll get you for that, Walter. That's the show. I have to tell you, it pains me to watch the shows because the topics, I'm like, they're trying to it's like watching CNN. They're still trying to hammer racism and everything's about this and everything's so important. I just wait for Maude to stop belittling people. And I'm like, all right, we're in the game. It's like watching Frank Costanza on, you know what I mean? As a host on CNN.
What went through my mind is when Maude talks about abortion, I'm thinking like, wait, someone actually screwed her?
Walter was in love with her.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, oh my God, what a visual.
Loved it. Great show. But Cheers, I can't find anything redeeming. I'm sorry if you're a Cheers fan, except for my brother.
There's some good episodes. The Jeopardy episode.
There's some funny episodes.
Yeah, there's some genuinely funny stuff on there. But
it's always funny because I remember as a kid, my parents watching it and me thinking it was so funny, and then going back to it and being like, "Oh, this is."
It's not.
Yeah,
the thing is, I'll tell you where comedy's fucked up is when they always try to do the serious episode.
Yeah, right. Of course,
the serious episode ruins it. Like Archie Bunker, Edith gets raped. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh my God, I can't stop laughing. Gene Stapleton got raped on the show. Like, what is a comedy? We're trying to escape reality.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. To me, it's just awful. Especially what was it? The Natalie, right? Didn't Natalie get raped on the Facts of Life?
As Stan Laurel, on Halloween.
Yeah.
And as a kid, we all said it, it's like, wait, all these girls and this predator decide to go after her.
Boys.
There was Joe, there was Blair.
30.
They created the Chubby Chaser. All righty. It is 12:30, sir.
I have Kempo in 9.5 hours.
Oh, very good.
I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow, but it's like...
Well, we want to thank you so much for coming back and doing this show. It's a great guitar.
I enjoyed it.
Yes, it is.
I enjoyed it. Like I said, I'm going to be on tour up in Boston in May. So when
I'll see you in May for sure.
When I'm coming through, I'll holler at you, let you know where we're going to be.
Yeah,
I haven't played in Boston in 5 years, probably. Looking
Do
forward.
you know
to
where
getting
you're
up
playing?
there. Not yet.
Oh, okay.
No, I know we're. Like
I'll take you to a place. I'll take you to a really good pizza place. We'll go to this. Do you know Chris DeLisa? Chris used to. He used to be the West Coast rep for Sabian.
I do not know. No.
Oh, okay. So Chris, when I first came back here, Chris was like, "Hey, I'm going to New York to do a pizza tour, but I got a layover in Boston, so I can, you want to come grab me? We'll go grab pizza." So I go to pick him up. I have a to-go box with the Town Spa pizza, which is my favorite, but it's too far away from the airport. So I go, we're going to eat this on the way to the North End. And then I took him to Regina's and we had an Italian pizza. It was great. He was like, these are like the two best places I had on the on my pizza tour before it even started. It was great.
If it's, I'll let you know. If it's at the top of the tour, I might have to pass on pizza. But if it's at the end, I won't care.
Oh, right. Well, I only eat pizza on Sundays.
There you go.
I'm on a strict diet. I've lost 50 pounds and I got 20 more to go.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Yeah, his problem is he swallowed a lot of aggression.
Along with a lot of pizza stripes.
Yeah.
It's funny. You got to stay in shape, man.
Yeah.
Especially
now that we,
right.
It's
Well, I had to lose weight to get health problems, so.
Jeez. Well, it was really nice. It was nice talking to you guys, and I'd be happy to come back on at any time. You guys have a fun show.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Great having you.
We'll stay in touch over the years. I'll look forward to seeing you in Boston in May. I don't know if we'll be in Rhode Island or not, but if we are, I'll let you know.
Yeah,
well, Boston is Rhode Island, basically.
He's only like 30 minutes south of me.
Oh, the last time we played in Rhode Island. We played in Newport, and it was awesome.
Oh yeah,
I'm actually better off going to where Dave lives than Newport from where I am.
Wow.
I'm in the northwest corner of Rhode Island, I'm like a couple miles from the
I used to play
border.
Newport a lot at the Midtown Oyster Bar. I used to play.
Oh, wow. I like that. I like your part of the country quite a bit. I don't get up there anywhere near enough. Although if my kid ends up at Berkeley, I'll be up there all the time probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Then we'll go to Little Stevie.
I'll keep you posted about that too.
All right, cool. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
And we'll keep in touch for sure.
Do it. It was good seeing you, fellas.
Absolutely. You too. And thanks so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
All
Dave
righty.
Kehoe, reach out. You guys have a great night. I'm sure you're going to go. So you guys are still on, right?
Oh, yeah. We have Hughes coming on, I believe, in a few minutes, and we have to go over the records that we suggested each other to listen to last week.
Awesome. I'll keep listening on my way home.
Homework.
All right, awesome.
Yeah. All right. See you guys. Thank you.
Catch you later, Ken.
Late, man.
Bye.
Yeah, that gold sparkle guitar. It's like if I ever end up buying a guitar again, that's nice.
Thanks, Rich.
It sounded good too, from what you can make.
Yeah, I mean, you put good pickups in anything. Everything's
those pickups sound big. I mean, it's like they were sounding good. But I mean, it's just
thanks, Fez.
Speaker and a camera. But
we got Hugh coming back on because we have to discuss the records of
the albums.
Choice. Yep.
Now we can discuss Joe's record, right? Because that was part of our homework. As well.
And then I think I can't remember if it was Joe says Hugh says give me 5 again. All right, give you 5.
Okay, give me 5.
Other side. Joe had a great idea, which was to, I think it was one person pick an album and everyone has to listen to it and go around the horn that way, an album of any choice. And I think that's
well, Joe needs to keep his ideas to himself and shut up. I can get away with that. He's not here.
He's watching.
Oh, Joe's watching. He's stuck.
He's always watching.
He's stuck in a position where he's still able to watch the TV.
I only eat pizza with like yeast. Don't they make those pizza with that
yeah, they have gluten-free pizzas.
Cauliflower? No, yeast is not gluten. Gluten-free still has yeast.
Oh, Oh, okay. So without yeast, yeah, a cauliflower crust is really good. The thing is, if you're looking for a lower calorie, it's not the way to go because it's loaded with cheese. It's like cheese and cauliflower. But I've tasted it before, and a good cauliflower crust is pretty good.
Cheese. CH. Oh, let's see. What else did I have? Before Hugh gets here, let me just talk about too late. He's already here.
I realized the stupidity of asking IHOP if they had Swiss cheese today.
You asked them that?
Yeah, when I ordered my burger, I just threw that out there, gave it a try.
What did she say?
Have Swiss?
No?
She's like, well, her eyes went up in the air. I don't know. I said, well, do you have cheddar?
Hugh, how are you, sir?
How's it going, Hugh?
We're not hearing anything.
Voice is not.
Is your microphone
Can't hear
on?
you, Hugh.
Hold on, he's going to check his mic. No, we still don't hear you.
No, don't.
What cauliflower pizza is actually good, says Pam to Krell?
Well, homemade, basically. I've had someone make a homemade one for me once. Cauliflower crust. It's with eggs, cheese, and cauliflower. And when that crisps up, if it's made right, it crisps up. It's nice and crunchy and cheesy. And
can you hear us, Hugh? Okay, you hear us, but we don't hear you.
yeah.
Maybe, let me see if I can, you go into your setting of your mic here and change what mic you're using. The 3 dots above your picture. Anyways, while Q's working on that, I'm just going to tell you that on Tuesday I have my episode 3 of chord therapy. We're going to be going into looking at some song structures, how the 5 is used, and how it's used to change. God, now I hear him. You there, Hugh?
Hey.
Hey, Hugh, there you are.
You may want to adjust that Scottish accent, though. It's coming on strong. So turn that knob a little left.
How's that now?
He's not talking about volume. He's trying to make a joke.
No. It's a bad joke.
All right, sorry.
I said you need a knob to adjust your Scottish accent.
Right. Change it from Scottish to English.
Yeah.
Excellent, Fez. Yeah, get him on the phone. All right. So, Hugh, this week we had 4 albums to listen to. Can you hear me?
Just realised that the sound isn't coming through the headphones.
Oh, okay.
Through the speakers.
Oh, hilarious. So we had 4 albums to discuss. Let's start with. Should we start with Hugh's album?
Yep.
The Mind Bomb.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, I will just say something very briefly about this album. It's phenomenal. I love every song. I think the great songs on it for me are August and September, and Beyond Love. I like. But I like every song on the album. I think and Good Morning Beautiful, the drums that David Palmer plays is just brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's 7.5 minutes and it goes by quick. It's like 3 chords, 7.5 minutes, and it's entertaining the whole listen through. And I've heard Armageddon Day before too, as well. I've heard that somewhere before.
Are you ready?
It gets my thumbs up. I enjoyed that album.
All right. Joe isn't here, so we don't get to hear about Joe. But let's talk about Joe's album for a minute. You want to start with Joe's album?
Who, Hugh? Me?
Yeah, I only actually knew the single they had out then. Love is or something like that. For Love. What was it called?
No, Your Love.
Your Love.
Sorry.
That's the only song you knew on it?
Correct.
Yeah, there were quite a few that I remembered. Say It Isn't So was the first single they ever released on that. I remember that when that came out. Then
and what did
Your
you
Love
think?
came out.
What did you think? Since you only knew one song, what did you think of the rest of them?
I liked it. I found them a kind of a cross between like the Police and Men at Work.
And Big Country.
Possibly, yeah.
There's moments that...
But good, well-crafted songs, and there was nothing on the album that I thought was crappy. So, yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. All right. You want to talk about this, Krell?
Yeah, well, I was, when Joe suggested, I was very familiar with the album. Back in the day, my friend had it, I recorded it, and, I played it a lot, and I enjoyed it back then. It was good giving another listen because all I've heard since then is Your Love. All the other stuff I heard was back in the 80s. And then I remembered saying, oh yeah, I remember this one. And there was some lyrically, I can't remember the name of the song right now. I was listening. I know this song too. I know this song. It was good going back and listening to a very strong album. I told Dave today that I had to look up on Wiki the line notes for the musicians on it because I could have sworn for a second there that maybe they brought in Eric Johnson on guitar for a solo in there. And no, that was the guitar player from the Outfield playing. And I go, oh, that was pretty cool.
All right, for me, I didn't know the album. I can't recall that I ever listened to it. I bought it probably 20 years ago, and I may have listened to a couple of the hits. At least that's how I remembered it. And then when I listened to it, I was like, wait, I know every song on this album. And I loved it. I was like, wow, I forgot how much I like this record. Why don't I remember ever listening to it more? But it's a really good record. Really good. It's very pop.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it really alternative? No,
it's
but
produced very pop also.
Yeah.
The production is very pop. There's a lot of compression going on. There's the reverbs and everything. It's very, very 80s pop, but very good. It's really good. All right, so the album Krellbar picked, I'll start on this one, was The Color of Spring by Talk Talk. Now, I've never listened to a whole album by Talk Talk before. This was the first album I've heard from them. And the first song, I had a smile on my face. I thought it was fantastic. Second song, still very good. I think the whole album is really good. I would call this the Poor Man's Avalon by Roxy Music. It reminds me of them trying to keep that late night vibe that Avalon by Roxy Music has. And to a point, the Blue Nile's Hats. If I had to put them in order, I would be like Hats, Avalon, The Color of Spring. But still, they're all three really good albums. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean it's not a great album.
Was a band trying to find its voice at that point. And they found its voice on that album.
Yeah, there's a couple of songs where I didn't like his singing voice when he sang low. I thought it was weird. April 5th, I believe, was the title of one of the songs. I wasn't crazy about. Here she
comes.
Yeah, I just thought it was weird and not so. And then it got to a B section and it got back to the plot of like the sound that I liked that the album had. But that would be my take on The Color of Spring. How about for you, Hugh Caldwell? Yeah, Pam, it's something to do with my internet. I think it has something to do with the I don't know if it's the snow.
Oh, he owns it. He owns it on vinyl.
Oh.
If you can see that. Anyway, I'm a huge Talk Talk fan. Have all the albums. I think Mark Hollis is one of the great art rock writers.
Agreed. And
I would say though, as much as I love this album, It's My Life from 2 years before, I may slightly prefer.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, even going back to the early stuff like Talk Talk, their eponymous debut, great music, great band, great writers, amazing live. Krell, have you seen the live at Montreux '87 concert?
I may have. I've seen them in so many things like that. I think they were on Rock Palast, and if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and there's so many different live things. Yeah, I will say, to the chat and anyone who hasn't listened to Talk seriously, it's like Mark Hollis's voice is an acquired taste, and most of us were exposed to it with that big hit Talk on The Party's Over, which I think is their weakest album. Myself, I think I don't like that entire album, but yeah, that hit Talk was so infectious, and that was my first exposure to him. I go, this is just great, friggin' techno pop, whatever you want to call it. I don't care,
Yeah, they're a fantastic band. They were rather.
Yeah.
And we just lost Mark Hollis a couple of years ago, and still don't know the cause of death. They don't announce what it is. So
they said a short illness.
Yep, that usually means suicide.
What was my pick? Oh, then my pick was the Smiths' "Meat Is Murder," and I believe that Hugh might have it on vinyl, and I'm correct. Why don't you talk about this one, Hugh, since you're up on it first?
Oh, yeah. Well, being a huge Smiths fan, there's not a lot you can say that's bad about anything off this album. It's just a great song from start to finish.
Yeah.
It may not have the kind of more famousy songs from them.
Right. But The Queen Is Dead is definitely more of the pop sounding Smiths.
Yeah.
Some girls are bigger than others. There's a Light That Never Goes Out. Big Mouth Strikes Again. Cemetery Gates. Agreed.
But for Smiths fans, I think it's the album when it comes to the songwriting and the teamwork between Marr and Morrissey.
I think the first album is just as good too. But I think, what's the opening track? The Headmaster Ritual? That bass tone is so friggin' good. When that bass kicks in, belligerent cool. And Well I Wonder, Bendeo says, Well I Wonder's fantastic. Great.
The first album had great songs, but I found the production a wee bit lacking.
Yeah, it's definitely sounds live and a little flat compared to Meat Is Murder. Definitely comes with a little bit more production. The sounds of the instruments were recorded nicer, and it's like not just put a mic and a baffle up, but I think that there's some great songs on that first album. Still Ill, Reel Around the Fountain, This Charming Man. I mean, that first record is good. But Meat Is Murder to me, with How Soon Is Now and what's the boom ba-doom ba-doom, Barbarism Begins at Home. Fantastic. Nowhere Fast. Let's see if I can Headmaster Ritual. What's one that's boom ba-doo ba-doo doo at the last light of the fair, and then how quickly would I die if I jump from the top without a parachute? What's the name of that song? What's the second song called?
Oh, Rush Home Ruffians.
Rush Home Ruffians. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. In live, I believe they go into the Elvis song "Marie's the Name" because that bass is boom 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 boom, and Marie's the name of his latest flame on the live. What's that live one called? Risk or Range? What was the name of that live album they had?
Can't remember, Dave.
Yeah. All right. Now, Krelba, your thoughts on this album?
Yeah, I'll preface this by saying that the Smiths were a band that a lot of one circle of my friends listened to. And I always considered it kind of background. I never went out and bought the album or anything like that. Always playing background. I've talked with Dave about this before. You know, I guess Morrissey's voice is kind of an acquired taste, and I've never quite acquired that taste. And I never delved into the music other than what I heard, like, you know, my friends playing, or, you know, it kind of went over my head. And you know, the hits, you know, How Soon Is Now is a great song when it came out. I still think it's a great song. It's just that listening to this album, it was refreshing in that I actually got to listen to the music. And I think I mentioned Dave today that, yeah, Johnny Marr's the man. You know, it's like he's dead on time and very inventive and stuff. And there was a lot of good music on there. And, you know, I have something against Morrissey's voice. That's always been a thing. And I couldn't really get over that. But yeah, I would say the only thing with that type of music is that I'm not a big fan of the double time jangly type of alternative rock that was coming out at that time. And I think that they're the ones that kind of invented that. I may be wrong. And I think everyone was trying to follow the Morrissey path at that. There were a lot of copycats. I remember I used to see these bands at Club Babyhead or Club Rocket in Providence. My friends would go take it and they'd have these weird names and stuff. And, you know, there'd be like 5 of them that they're trying to be Morrissey. So so he definitely influenced a lot of people, but it was refreshing listening to, and there was a lot of good points on the album.
Elroy Shredding says, so do people like the Smiths better than Morrissey's solo work? I would say the Smiths are a 10, Morrissey's solo career a 3. What about you, Hugh?
I like a few of his solo albums. I like Southpaw Grammar from the kind of early to mid 90s. Songs like The More You Ignore Me, The Closer I Get. Fantastic stuff. I thought from Kill Uncle on was not my cup of tea. Right.
Before Kill Uncle, there was Bone of Drag, and then he did what was the name of the compilation album with all the Viva Hate. Bone of Drag was the singles, and Viva Hate. Those 2 records were great. But were they as good as, let's say, the Smiths' worst album, Strange Ways? I don't think so.
Probably not. Yeah.
And Strange Ways, I say it's the worst Smiths album, but it's still a good record.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know how you guys are listening to these albums if you don't own them already, but what I've been doing is if I don't own them, I usually put it on YouTube and usually get the tracks off there. I'll listen to it in the car through Bluetooth.
Me too.
But also I'll listen to my smart TV at home. And while doing the Smiths, I was subjected to something no one should be subjected to. And that's Morrissey performing in 2019, How Soon Is Now. And at the end of the song, he takes his shirt off. And he's still dressing like he was in his 20s, trying to pull off the male model look. And it's very disturbing. It's like, so you don't want to subject yourself to that.
Yeah.
Elroy says, for him, the Smiths were music girls liked. I didn't know any girls that knew the Smiths. When I was listening to the Smiths, the girls were listening to Journey and Bon Jovi.
Duran, it was for the girls over here.
Duran. Yeah, Duran was, that was the new Romantics.
Yeah.
You had your Duran and your Roxy Music.
Well, I knew girls that liked the Smiths, but mostly because they got turned on to it by their boyfriends.
I had no idea that any girl ever knew the Smiths.
Yeah, well, like my circle of friends that like the Smiths, they started dating girls, and I don't know if they were in the Smiths before that, but they started dating them, and then they were totally into it. So
the only girls that I knew that were into the Smiths were into the Dr. Smiths. They had a thing for Jonathan Harris. Oh, the pain of it all. They had a thing for Jonathan Harris. Where are you people? This is humor. Yeah, I think so. For me, I think The Queen is Dead is a better Smiths album, but I didn't want to. But there was a reason why I wanted everyone to listen to Meat is Murder, because I think Meat is Murder is a more interesting record.
I'm going to listen to it again.
For me, Headmaster Ritual and Barbarism is more interesting than most of the stuff on Queen is Dead, even though I love Queen is Dead. But the stuff I like on Queen is Dead is, if you, like So Clever, why are you on your own tonight? What's that? No, I Never. Like songs like that and Cemetery Gates, really clever. Hey, Johnny Kramer, have a great night. Fun stuff. Mm-hmm. But I wanted you to hear the more complex stuff where, I mean, that bass tone and Johnny Marr's playing on Meat is Murder is just great. Just great.
My favorite Smiths album to listen to is Hat Full of Hollow.
Well, yeah. It's some singles on it as well.
Well,
it was also only released in the States as an import.
Really?
We never had it released here. But I knew, and what was the other one? The World Won't Listen. The World Won't Listen was also a singles album that was released. But Hatful of Hollow. I mean, most of Hatful of Hollow is seen again on the double album, the orange one. What's that one called? With Shoplifters of the World Unite and Take It's Louder Than Bombs.
Right.
Yeah. London's a great song. There's a great cover of London by Anthrax covering the Smiths song London off of Louder Than Bombs, and I love it. That's a song you should check out, Krellba. London by Anthrax. It's their Smiths cover. Do you think you made the right decision this time? Remember that song, Hugh? What's the matter, Krell? No. Is your mic not working, or are you muted?
I'm muted.
Oh,
whoops! Johnny Kramer left, so see you later, Johnny.
Yeah. You remember that song, Hugh? Do you think you made the right decision this time? Blood. The Smiths. I wouldn't be surprised if it was on. Let me see if it was on that. Oh, you son of a bitch. Hold on. Let me see. Let me see if it was on Hatful of Hollow.
I know what one you mean now.
It's called London.
Aye.
Let's see. London by this. It's on The World Won't Listen. But it was also on Louder Than Bombs. But Anthrax does a great cover of it. Do you ever remember a band, Hugh, called Curve?
Curve? No. Curved Air.
Curve. Huh?
I know Curved Air.
No, Curve. They did my band, The Big Angry, we used to do a cover of one of their songs. The song was called The Coast is Clear. Mm-hmm. They were a good band, like an alternative band out of England.
All right.
Yeah.
Can't say I've heard of them.
What is
I'm looking them up right now.
Who? Curve?
Curve, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's called The
Tony
Coast
Halliday. It's a duo. Okay.
See, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's let's see. Tony Halliday vocals, occasionally guitar, Dean Garcia bass, guitar, drums, and programming.
Oh yeah, you know what's funny is I think it was I think they had EPs. Yes, it's The Coast is Clear from 91, their second EP. We used to do that.
Members.
Right.
We used to do that song, and it was so funny because people would be like, after we'd play it at the end of the night, people were like, what the hell song was that song you guys played? But he said Curve, but it was cool, and we did a real heavy version of it. But I liked a lot of the 80s type stuff, you know. I always dug it. So Joe had the idea that maybe one person should pick an album, and then we listen to it. That way we can all talk about it more in depth. Or what do you think of that idea?
I'm all for trying something new. Something that crossed my mind too is instead of albums, how about just a song?
Right.
Every now and then just do a song. Hey, you got to listen to this song. Because I find with the albums too, is that, you know, when you have albums that may have some weak spots or weaker spots, sometimes they lead off with the weaker spots, and the meat of the stuff that you want them getting to right away is like in the middle of the album. And you kind of wonder if someone not listened to it before gets a little fatigued, you know, listen to the earlier songs.
How fatigued can you be listening? I mean, how tough is it to listen to a whole album?
I'm overthinking this. It's
it's an album. It's like
I'm trying to justify just doing one song instead of an album. That's all I'm doing.
All right, so each guy picks a song.
Yeah.
Because we can't just do one song, and it'd be nuts. 3 songs, and then when Joe's here, it would be 4 songs. All right, and it could be any song, any genre, any style.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Huh?
What about years and what years? Any years?
No, I think it's open. You try to turn somebody on to something, a song you think that people should be turned on to.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't have to do it right away. We can get Joe back and do the format.
We're gonna come up with it.
You want to do that? A song?
Yeah.
Do 3 of them?
We only got a few minutes left here before Hugh has to wake up.
So we have to name these off now.
Is that the sun behind you coming in now?
It's a lamp.
Oh, it's a lamp.
It's artificial sun.
But it is.
So we got to come up with 3 songs
in
right
the morning
now.
There.
Are you saying we have to come up with 3 songs right now? Or?
You only come up with 1 song. We each come up with 1 song.
Right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you got to try to think of a song that you think people that you think like you want to turn somebody either onto a great song or a band. You know, like it would be like the gateway to that band.
Ooh, wow!
Just a great song.
I made the suggestion. I haven't put much thought into it. Now I'm just having block.
All right, you go first, Hugh.
Oh, jeez. God, I think. So hard to think on the spot, you know.
See, the thing is, I've got stuff that the chat may not know of, but I know you two know.
Hey, what do you think of? You brought up art rock, Hugh. What do you think of Japan?
Oh, I love David Sylvian.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Big
isn't it
time,
funny?
yeah.
Isn't it funny that I can bring up a band called Japan to you, and you know right away David Sylvian and his career, and here in the States nobody knows who the fuck I'm talking about.
Right?
Isn't that crazy?
Well,
Gone to Earth is such a great fucking record. It really is so good.
right. So I need to come up with a song that may surprise both of you. It's going to be so hard.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's a weird thing. To me, it's like just pick an album like that you would want someone to be turned on to. Like what album?
I think so.
Okay, if we could do an album, any genre, yeah. If
Any
we get back to
genre,
albums, I could probably
open. Just pick an album that you want to turn. You think people should know.
Yeah, okay. Everyone's familiar with Queens of the Stone Age, right? But they're mostly familiar with Songs for the Deaf. Not a lot of people are familiar with the album previous to that, Rated R. And that I think that's Do you have that?
I'm gonna look.
Yeah, and I mean that was their sweet spot. That album and Songs for the Deaf were the sweet spot for Queens of
So
Stone Age.
what's amazing to me is you're going any year, anybody, any album. The
2001.
one album you would want to turn somebody on to is Queens of the Stone Age, rated R. Good, I have it, so I can listen to it.
Okay, unless you've all heard it before, all the songs.
I don't know if I heard it, but my point is, you know what I mean? I don't think you're understanding the gravity of what we're asking.
Well, if it's the gravity, then we need time to think about it before we just spit it
if
off.
you were to say to somebody, what's your 5 top albums in your whole life of all time? What are they? Are one of them, do you think we're going to know all 5? Give us one of them that you think a Desert Island Disc is that a Desert Island Disc? Are you taking that?
But a top album that you guys don't know about.
Doesn't have to be we don't know. We just may not be that familiar with it. You know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
I'm going through my collection.
I don't know how much you knew of the Smiths, but I wanted you to listen to it. You may have heard it back in high school, but I wanted you to listen to it. Like, it's different when someone says, I want you to listen to this.
Hang on for 1 second. I'm going to cheat for a second.
Go ahead.
You can look at my CDs.
Go ahead.
Wish I could do that, but they're up in the upstairs.
Hugh, the album that you are going to pick, I'm psychic. You are going to pick. You're going to pick. Now it's what am I going to pick? Are you a Yes fan at all?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So you know,
Yes.
Close to the Edge.
Of course.
All right. And Krellbaugh probably knows it.
I'm probably going
now, see, this would be good with Howie because Howie picked that Honeymoon Suite album that I loved.
Yeah.
I won't pick it though. I'm gonna say
I've got mine.
You do.
Just you both probably know it, but you may not have listened to it for a while. I don't know.
There you go. I like that already. Go ahead. What is it?
It's Genesis and Selling England by the Pound.
Not only do I have it, I can tell you I do not listen to it enough, and I have to listen to it. I haven't listened to it in 20 years.
Right. Okay.
Selling England by the Pound.
It's 1971, I think.
Is it that early? I thought it was later.
No,
I thought it was 73. I thought it was right before. Isn't it before Lamb Lies Down on Broadway?
Give me 2 secs.
I thought it's the one before or the one after. Tomato.
It's before Dave.
My guess would be 73, but I'm guessing.
Some light.
Hey, Kev Cassidy, how are you?
Did you guys come up with something? No.
Well, he's looking up the year of what he said. He's come up with one.
Yeah, well,
Genesis?
I could always throw King's X Gretchen Goes to Nebraska out there. I always label as one of my favorite albums, but I mean, like, you people probably know that.
Yeah, well, I did this once with Bingham, and Bingham had to pick that record against me, so I had to listen to it.
Another one I came across, my first exposure to 24/7 Spies.
Gumbo Millennium.
Yeah, and I know you know this album, Dave, so I don't know if that counts. So, I mean, this was a very influential album to me. So, I mean, that's all I can come up with on short notice. I mean, like,
all right, well, he says Selling England by the Pound from Genesis.
73 it was good.
I was right. It was 73.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, I know I've listened to that at one point or another, but with all those albums, I mean, it all runs together. When I hear it, I can't tell you what album it's off of. I used to listen to tapes of Genesis from that time and didn't know titles, didn't know anything, just listened to. So I probably heard it, but I can't. So I'm gonna have to re-listen to that.
I won't say the song title, but there's one song off it that's my favorite Genesis piece of music.
Really?
Okay, right. That's all.
And Krellbot, you're picking what? You're going to tell me those two?
It's tough for me to pull something out that you guys don't really.
How familiar are you two with the Michael Schenker Group MSG album?
That's another one. I can't tell you all the names of songs on it. I know names of songs and whether
that's
they're
my
on the
pick.
Album or. Okay.
Michael Schenker Group MSG from 1981.
Monosodium glutamate.
Yes.
And I guarantee you I've heard all the songs before. I just didn't know what album it was on. So
I don't think so.
Oh yeah.
For me.
My friend Steve had those albums and I taped them off of him and listened to them quite a bit. So
what are you saying, Hugh? You won't know it.
I won't know it, no.
Yeah. I think you'll like it though.
I only know Michael Schenker from
UFO.
The UFO, and just seen him playing a lot of times, but it's not the kind of stuff that I usually would go and buy.
Yeah. Well, I definitely like
look at my
MSG much better than UFO because, like the other day, Doctor came on, and I'm like, what a great guitar riff! The band sounds good, everything sounds good, but then the vocal comes in and ruins it for me because I just think the melodies of UFO were weird. What album is Snowbound from Genesis?
Snowbound? I don't think it's that one.
Snowbound, let's stay in today.
No, I didn't think so. Oh, what is that from?
See, now, at this point, I would normally start saying Devo, but I know that Dave knows Devo inside and out.
Well, I know the first 3 albums well enough. First 4 albums, first 5 albums I know very well.
Oh yeah, I'm actually.
I almost said Mr. Well, Go On. Are you guys familiar with that album or the band?
No, I love Mr.
Was that? Let's see. What was the first one had the hits on? Then the second one had. This is the one you're talking about.
The second one has the hits. I'm talking about
second
the
one
third
has.
one.
Oh.
Yeah, the first one's called I Wear the Face. That's the first album. Second album is Welcome to the Real World with Kyrie San and Broken Wings. And then the third album, the big hit was Inside You. All we want is something. Is a part of me. A song called Something Real. You know that album, Hugh?
Not well, but I like a lot of their stuff.
Oh, that record's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't really think of an album offhand right now. I'm sorry, I'm drawing.
All right, so here's what we're gonna do.
I could.
We're gonna do these 2 albums.
Should explore, but
we'll do these 2 albums, and then next week you and Joe pick the albums.
Okay. What are the 2 albums now? It's
Genesis,
Michael Schenker Group,
Selling in England by the Pound, and Michael Schenker Group MSG.
Selling England by a Pound. Is that the one with Watcher in the Skies on it?
No,
that's the different. What album's that on? Is that Foxtrot? Or I know names of the albums, but
I think so. It's before that. It's before Selling England.
Tell me everything you know about the band Genesis. That's my Wrath of Khan. All right, hold on. Let me see. I'm going to look at their albums real quick. Discography. What album did you say? What song did you say? Krellbot, what was the song you were asking? Watcher of the Skies on Foxtrot.
Yeah,
the album before.
Foxtrot.
Let me see what's on Selling England by the Pound. See if I know this album at all. Dancing with the Moonlit Night. What you like? Oh, Firth of Filth, of course. Yeah, I have to listen to this. I think I know one song on here. God, look at Peter Gabriel back then. He was crazy.
Yeah, especially when he cut his widow's peak there,
Mm,
part of his hair in the middle.
big bald bit.
What
Yes,
album is Snowbound? Let me just take a look at that
that's-
real quick.
That's off, and then there were three.
Oh, and then there were three. Yeah, you're right. Which doesn't that have Follow You, Follow Me?
Correct. Yeah.
Snowbound. Let's stay in today. Wake me up. My favorite Genesis song is on 3x3 called You Might Recall. I love that song. You know it?
No.
I know.
You guys, you must listen to it. You Might Recall by Genesis. Actually, that 3x3 EP is fantastic. It has me and Virgil and Paperlate.
Mm-hmm.
I know Paperlate.
Yeah.
Paperlate.
Paperlate's also used in a Peter Gabriel song with Genesis too. He sings. Is that on that Selling England by the Pound?
What one? Sorry.
There's not Paperlate. I'm looking to see what other Genesis song had the words Paperlate in it. Oh, Dancing with the Moonlit Night.
Well, that's track one. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he says Paperlate, cried a voice in the crowd.
All right. Aye.
Yeah, I knew it was from an earlier one.
Have you ever listened to the first album that was produced by Jonathan King?
No.
1969.
From
very
Genesis. From Genesis
to Revelation.
Yeah.
It's like folky stuff. But there's a few gems in it. There's some really nice songs in it.
Yeah. I mean, that band's evolved.
Big time.
When they were asked in an interview once, they were like, how the band started. They said, what is the genesis of Genesis? Folks, my material is just not up to par. Anyways,
now
it's
you're going
getting
to try
late.
hitting the crickets.
It's 1:15. We're on for 3 hours, whatever. We got to call it a night. Hugh, I hope to see you next week. You want to be on next week, Hugh, as the guest?
Sure, mate. Yeah.
All right, because I don't have anyone scheduled, and we're going to have you on.
Yeah, you're this. What's the word? Not replacement, but you're the alternate.
Do I get something to drink and sandwiches?
Exactly.
Yeah, we don't serve drinks and sandwiches.
Go to your house, set you up.
There's no drinks and sandwiches in the green room.
That sounds
Be a food truck out your door.
I'll have a shave by then.
Right, exactly. Nice. All righty. All right, everyone. I want to thank everyone for hanging out with us. I want to thank Ken Haas. It was awesome for him to come back and to hang out with us, and we can have him back anytime. So if new products come out and you guys are interested, I will get them back. This is the killer to a short Churchill, which I think he gave me a wide Churchill today, which I'm going to go look. But boy, I smoked 2 great cigars today, folks, during the football game. 2 Cuban cigars. They were really nice. And I was surprised that other one kicked your ass a little bit, but it was it's a medium.
I've been away from cigars for like a month, so
it's a medium. I had one on Thursday, so I was fine.
See, I know when you get high, when it kicks your ass, I don't know what kind of high you get. It
makes you nauseous.
It's like my head just goes.
Yeah, it makes you nauseous. Yeah, you don't like that. It's just not good. All right. we're going to call it an evening. I want to thank Hugh Caldwell for coming in and talking. Yep. We'll have Hugh here next week. And let's see what else. Let me see. Is the Hulk on next week?
The Incredible Hulk will not be presented this evening.
So apparently the Hulk will not be on. All right, Hugh. Thanks so much, man.
Cheers.
Are you going to get some sleep now? Or are you waking up?
No, I slept till on. I've got a doctor's appointment in 3 hours' time.
Oh, 3 hours. Nice.
Yeah, I've got one at 9:30 tomorrow morning too. So
there you go.
So the only one without a doctor's appointment? I'm going to the gym tomorrow, and then I got lessons. Lessons tomorrow, folks. Lessons.
Private lessons.
Private lessons
Sylvia
Crystal.
Lessons in Love.
Great song. I love Mark King. Level 42. All right, everyone. Thanks so much. We will see you all next week. I will see you all Tuesday night for my chord therapy. Tomorrow morning, I have a lesson coming out. I think you will like it. We'll see. I'm not giving it away.
Hugh will like it, and you will like it too. As well as Hugh.
All right. Very good. All right. Thanks, everyone. Very good.
Okay, goodbye, Ted.
Goodbye.